Counterclockwise, last stone draw. You have 1 minute.
Mic check, microphone number 1. Mic check, microphone number 2. Good morning. The time is now 8:23 a.m. here in Schenectady, New York for the semifinal matchup. Final day here in Schenectady for the 2026 USA Curling College Nationals. Should have a good one today on our feature sheet. Sheet 1 between the two-time defending national champion Badgers of Wisconsin, Madison, and the Nittany Lions of Penn State. This is a rematch of a pool play game. Penn State was victorious in that pool play game, so this should be a great one. We will be back as soon as practice ends, which it looks like they're wrapping up right now. So this is Brad Johnson. Will be on the call with Pat Howard, and we will be back in about 3 or 4 minutes to call this one.
Please deliver your clockwise last stone draw. You have 1 minute. Please deliver your counterclockwise last stone draw. You have 1 minute.
And we're back here on the call. I'm Brad Johnson, joined now by Pat Howard. Pat, how are you this morning?
Well, Brad, how about yourself?
I'm doing excellent. Excited to see semifinal curling here, and we'll be back here for the finals shortly thereafterwards. So excited! We'll be crowning a champion today for the 2026 USA Curling College Nationals. Right now, our feature game is scheduled to go off in about 2 minutes from now. So, the second team is entering the second teams rather are entering the ice shed now. So, getting ready to go. Well, we're kind of in a little bit of a lull before action. Just kind of give the audience a little bit of a summary of what's happened to date. So, basically, there are now 4 teams left in the championship bracket. There's also a consolation bracket that's going on, so we'll intermittently check in on the consolation bracket as well. But for right now, I'm just going to talk about the 4 teams alive for the championship. On sheet 4, which will not be our feature sheet for this early shift of games here, we have the Bowdoin Polar Bears taking on the Pointers of University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. So both those teams won their quarterfinal games yesterday. Both of those teams actually beat teams that had previously beaten them in pool play to advance. And transitioning, I guess, from that, we actually have another pool play rematch here on sheet 1. That'll be between our two teams here on the feature sheet, Penn State, Nittany Lions, and the University of Wisconsin Badgers, who we have not yet had the chance to feature yet. We took a calculated risk a little bit earlier. The two-time defending national champions, we were hoping we would get them on a feature sheet at some point, and this is our chance now to do it. So to introduce the lineups here for both teams, we have for Penn State, we have Robert Chappell throwing lead, Istvan Preda throwing second, Cameron Pauley throwing third, and Eric Welp throwing fourth. And the reason I'm specifically not saying vice or skip is they got an interesting rotation here, Pat. They like to have I think Cameron Pauley tends to call the game, but he sweeps all the rocks. So they have a kind of a rotation of different teams or different people that are holding the broom, but they have it working for sure. Have you seen that before? A rotation of different people holding brooms?
Yeah, every once in a while you get some interesting lineups, and whatever works. If your team's happy with it, everybody throws well in that order, then no harm in doing so.
Absolutely, and I know we have experience playing against Cameron before, where he was virtually skipping the game, but not necessarily throwing skip rocks or even holding the broom, but calling a lot of the shots from downrange. So definitely likes to get involved in the shot making. Great to see. And on the University of Wisconsin-Madison side, we have lead for their team is Clayton Nels, second Derek Brooks, third Oscar Schroeder, and skip and throwing fourth Alex G. So this is a very experienced Wisconsin team. Their program actually for college nationals didn't start until 2022, but they have already gotten 2 national titles under their belt.
Yeah, good for them.
Absolutely.
Really good showing. This college nationals is still fairly new. Good to see all these college teams coming out here. A lot of great things coming out from college curling the last few years.
Absolutely. Steve Wood was on the call with me yesterday and just mentioning how he's seen dramatically just in the last few years the level of play has rose significantly, and that'll come with more competition, more participation. You're getting higher and higher quality play. So we're just about to get kicked off here. As I mentioned before, this is a rematch of a previous pool play game between the University of Wisconsin and Penn State. They were both in the same pool, Pool A here. Both teams advanced. They were the top 2 teams. Penn State actually won the pool, and they did actually beat University of Wisconsin-Madison. So if anyone can take down the 2-time defending national champions, it may be this squad here in Penn State. And just as a housekeeping reminder, I know that right now we're starting to fill in as we've now hit 8:32 Eastern time for those who are watching and rooting for University of Wisconsin. 7:32 your time. I know it's early, but I'm sure the college students from Wisconsin appreciate your support. We will expect to get well over 40 people in this chat at some point. We'd like to get engaged with the chat as much as possible. We do have it open, so feel free to drop a comment, who you're rooting for, where you're listening from, anything like that, any questions, concerns for Pat and I, any constructive feedback, of course, that you may have for us, we will take in stride, and we will try to address every comment in the chat. So I will give another reminder as we get more people in the chat. Looks like we're up to 20 now here, and we are underway right now. Looks like the Nittany Lions did have better draw score challenge shots at the beginning of the game at the end of their practice. So they have the hammer to begin this, and University of Wisconsin is trying to throw a early, looks like a potential centerline guard. Sweepers sweep it, and it's really nice and tight there. Not quite on the center line, but still pretty effective. Looks like they're calling a draw around here for Penn State. And it looks like, is that Cameron Pauly actually holding the broom there, Pat?
Yeah, I think that might be him in the house. Normally, he does like to sweep. He's a great sweeper. Like Brad said, we've played against him before. Yeah, he might have opted to just, hold the broom, call the game this time.
For sure. And here at Nationals, the format is that you're allowed to, as long as you declare ahead of time who's holding the broom and what your lineup is, you can change it in between games as you see fit. So, first draw from Penn State just goes a little long, goes through the house. So, University of Wisconsin, definitely no issues with that, trying to draw around their guard here. This looks like it's going to come up a little narrow. Not necessarily a bad result there. They do have two rocks there in the center. One is a guard, one is in the house. And it looks like they were debating hitting that stone at first, but now Penn State has elected to try to draw around the guard, try to create some offense around the centerline guard. What do you think of the call here, Pat?
I think it's fine. You can hit that rock in the wing, and you can probably sit right there as a guard yourself on the corner, which is always good if you have hammer, having those corner guards. But I like being aggressive in the first end, get a lot of rocks in play, try to make it tough for the other team. Sweepers on this to get around that guard.
Now, is that on the center line? It doesn't look like it is. Doesn't.
It looks like it just barely got around.
Just got around anyway. That is an excellent shot right there.
Right
really,
top button.
Absolutely, really well executed shot. It's definitely a risk-reward shot there. The thing I definitely think, and this is for individuals who may be a bit newer to the game watching right now, if you end up throwing that draw there and you have the hammer, if you end up light, that's probably one of the worst misses you can have. You end up throwing just another centerline guard, and basically what you've determined is that the other team it's going to be really difficult for you to actually clear that back up. So you basically allowed the non-hammer team to have a nice little upfront stockpile of guards early on, but by making that shot like they did, it changed complexion in the end. It looks like Wisconsin chose to peel their own guards, so it seems like they're willing to play a little defense here, try to not give up a big end to Penn State with the hammer. So we see Penn State looks like trying to use that same draw path here.
Looks like Pauly's back out of the house now, so back into sweeping rolls.
Seems right. So now we have Istvan Preda throwing rocks for Penn State. Lefty coming out of the hack. I believe Cameron Pauly also throws left-handed. We got a couple lefties on this Penn State squad here. Eric Welp and Cameron Pauly on the sweep here. So I guess in terms of holding the broom, Robert Chappell's holding the broom. It looks like for non-lead rocks. So he's throwing lead rocks, and then he looks like he's getting in the house afterwards.
Guard covers maybe about half of that yellow rock. It looks like Madison might go ahead and try to chase this. See if they can get a roll inside, but might not be able to roll inside. It might be nose or maybe roll away.
Yeah, could be. It is interesting that right now the hammer team is actually playing more towards the center between the draw behind and then the center line guard. A little unconventional to see. But especially if you're feeling good with your draw weight, and particularly these two teams know each other. Maybe they know something and know a way how to beat this really tough Wisconsin team. I will say, since Penn State did beat Wisconsin, that was on Friday evening, I believe. Since that game, Wisconsin has been, they either took that personally or something, because they've been on fire ever since. They finished pool play in the quarterfinal game, both handshakes after 6 ends with convincing victories.
So very good for them. It looks like they're rolling right away in a Sunday. It's always a good feeling when you're at a Bonneville and you play real well coming into Sunday.
Absolutely. Goal at Nationals, as I've heard many times, is get out of pool play. It doesn't really matter your seeding, and I think that that's certainly the case. I think it was the lower seeded team actually won 3 of the 4 quarterfinal games. I think the only higher seeded team to win was actually Penn State here on sheet 1. And we're up to 25 people now in the live chat, so a reminder to feel free to drop any comments, where you're listening from, questions that you may have. Pat and I will be sure to interact, so don't be shy. We love to engage with our audience here. all skill levels for sure, Pat. We've heard people on the call that are curious as to what the free guard zone rule is and what the no-tick rule, centerline no-tick rule is, to people talking more complex strategy questions. So we've seen all sorts of levels on the chat here.
Unfortunate couple missed hits here from Madison and Penn State, but yeah, it kind of leaves Penn State in the driver's seat. House is wide open for them. They're sitting one and maybe.
They're sitting one, it looks like. I think
one,
that red's out counting. So I wonder. I almost, especially because you want to play to the wings anyways, it seems like the call here is the draw to the wings. I wonder if you would just ever consider hitting that red out wide, Pat? What do you think?
You could, yeah. I mean, you hit the red, you said 3. The draw around, I think, is okay too. You put one buried, then you're sitting 1 and 2, but...
Yeah, no issue with the draw here, and then saving that hit maybe for later.
Yep. I like that too.
Yeah. I assume that's got to be in the cards for them. They're assuming that if they can put a nice, tricky one here, and even if Wisconsin counters with a hit, they're anticipating that they'll get a chance to get back to that stone out on the wing, that red rock that seems to be sitting second count right now. This draw does go a little deep. It stays in play, but it looks like it's out of the rings, so certainly not going to change things much in terms of Wisconsin's strategy here, so that they are conceding to playing defense here. When I say they're playing defense here, what do I mean by that, Pat?
They just want to, get rid of as many yellow rocks as they can. Make sure that Penn State can't have a big injury. It looks like this rock might curl again.
It does overcurl. It does take out that back skip tripper, so maybe the skips are thankful that they don't have to trip over that rock now, but effectively doesn't do much. And now they are going to try that same draw again. Still not sure. I don't like just hitting that red.
Yeah, I don't mind hitting that red either, because then you're for sure sitting 3. You're already on Vice's rock, so how much longer do you need to save that red rock for? I'm not sure, but they like to draw here. We'll see.
Maybe they know that Wisconsin's playing defense. They're anticipating a hit and a rollout. If Wisconsin continues to spill out, then you will get a chance to go after that red later. But if Wisconsin hits and sticks, it's going to be incredibly difficult to ever go after that red counter.
That's right.
Kind of got lucky with that last miss, that miss from Wisconsin. We got a comment in the chat from Dave Hooper, who is standing behind us.
Hey there, Hooper.
All right, so this draw still goes a little deep, but stays in place, and that is second count. When you're the hammer team, you don't mind that too much. I think if you're the non-hammer team, that would probably be a close to meaningless rock. But by being the hammer team here, the Nittany Lions are certainly happy with that yellow counter there. Wisconsin's still trying to play some defense here. Looks like they are now on their first skip rock with Mr. G, Alex G, a junior.
Yes, he's going the other way at this yellow rock. He went with his intern the last couple times, and both times it kind of overcurled on him. So going the other way now. So you can see the line's a little better for him.
Their sweepers are pushing it right now, so they still think it's a little wide. Nope, now they're actually having the inside sweeper. Means they probably are going for that double. It looks like they're trying to call a good line.
Thin double.
It is.
Wow, what a great shot.
And that's hit.
That's a huge shot.
It's almost like they're two-time defending national champions for a reason. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
That's an excellent shot there from it.
G coming through with a great shot.
Absolutely.
Bails him out in the first end.
Yeah. So again, Penn State is opting for this draw as opposed to hitting. Maybe seeing that double. Maybe not the worst decision here. If you do the hit, then most likely you're leaving a double.
Good chance you give him a double. So maybe you draw now and then
hit on your hammer stone. Yep.
Yep.
I can see merit to that for sure.
Draw now if you try. He's got to try to chase and do something there. Either way, if he doesn't get your yellow rock out of there, a good chance you get 2.
Yep. This is Eric Welp, a junior, majoring in engineering science and physics. Draws coming in. Sweepers are off it right now, which means they probably think the weight's fine. Now they're trying to sweep, it looks like, for line. Sweeping, I mean, that's a pretty good looking shot. It's exposed, but probably trickier than you'd want shot for University of Wisconsin here. So it looks like based on that broom, it looks like Alex G's already made up his mind that he wants to go after and hit it. You like the hit call here, Pat?
Yeah, I think the hit's
Yeah, I think it makes sense. You've already committed to playing defense this end anyways, You know, what else are you going to do? Corner freeze on it. Even then, you might not even be sitting shot. You hit it. If you stick around, you're going to actually be sitting 1-2, right? Because Penn State chose to never go after that red shot out wide. Based on that, again, it looks to this overhead camera that the red stone is sitting shot over that 12-foot biter. Trying to get curl on the stone here. It's coming in. It's coming in nicely.
Yeah, that's a good shot.
That's a really good shot. And sticking around is so huge there. Why is sticking around so big there again, Pat?
Now you're sitting 1 and 2. It's going to be real hard for Penn State to get 2 out of this. I don't know if there might be a thin double there, but you got to be real close to that yellow. So I think hits your priority. Make sure you get 1. Don't give up a steal. You can roll over and chip the red out just a touch and get 2, and that's a big bonus.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's a big shot there from Wisconsin, playing defense really effectively, and that gets back to the decision we talked about earlier from Penn State. You know, they could have gone after that stone out wide. They chose to be a little bit more aggressive. I don't fault them for that, but certainly when you have 2 excellent makes from Alex G, it ends up, you know, making it more difficult. So shot here for an easy one. If you make a really excellent shot, you might be able to get 2, but it's risky. It's risky to hit that thin. You might not even get that red out of play the way you want to hit it.
It's a curl.
Trying to get curl. Got to get at least 1 here if you're Penn State. You really don't want to give up the steal. And that's a nice looking shot
good
there.
Hit for 1.
Yep, so Eric Welp with a good takeout there. So Penn State does take their 1, but that was a perfectly acceptable result for University of Wisconsin based on the way they were playing that end. And so at the end of 1, University of Wisconsin is down trailing to Penn State 1-0. We'll look at some of the other sheets here. So I did mention at the very beginning of this broadcast there is consolation semifinals going on as well. So these are the teams that didn't make it out of pool play but did win the consolation quarterfinals last night, or yesterday afternoon, I suppose. So this is Michigan Tech versus Minnesota. Both teams had gone winless in pool play and then got their first wins at nationals in the quarterfinals, and they were the only 2 teams who hadn't yet gotten wins. So that does officially mean that all 16 teams that came here got wins here in Schenectady.
See everybody getting the win.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the nationals.
Sheet 1, they're still in the break. Sheet 4, this is the other championship semifinal. So we have another Wisconsin team. This is team in purple, University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, and they were able to win in a rematch against Castleton last night on the feature sheet game. Looks like they have an early 2-0 lead over Bowdoin. And on sheet 3, the other consolation semifinal. This is Yale versus RIT. Both teams finishing, I believe, 3rd in their respective pools. And it looks like early on, Yale is up 1-0 there. Got a comment in the chat. Great shot, Alex, regarding to, I assume referring to that first double that Alex G threw. Go Badgers. That's from Amy Nels. I assume no relation whatsoever to Clayton Nels, the lead for Wisconsin. Purely coincidental last name. Good to hear the support, though, coming from Wisconsin. I know it's early for all you out there. I think Central Time Zone, 7:45, 7:47 right now. And we're about to get underway on this, or we are underway, excuse me, on this second end. That first stone from Penn State looks like it went just a bit deep, and it's in the house, and so Wisconsin seems content to chase after and hit it. Perhaps get a roll to the wing. Why was it unfortunate, Pat, that stone ended up going in the rings if you're Penn State?
If it's outside of the rings early on, within the first 5 rocks, the other team can't remove it out of play. So it gives you a chance to, start the end off, create some offense, get a lot of rocks up front that they can't deal with. And yeah, unfortunate that Madison rolled out there. So they hit that right on the nose. It might have been out of the rings. It might have been a rock that Penn State couldn't have dealt with, and gives them some chance to create some offense themselves.
For sure. And so it looks like they're going to try again to get this guard down. This one's lighter. The sweepers are getting on it to try to get it to the center line. So that's more for curl. They're having just one sweeper try to curl it. Not necessarily trying to get any distance out of getting as close to that center line as possible. Typically when you don't have hammer, you want to tighten up the scoring area, keep play more towards the center. Opposite is true if you were the hammer team. So that's a guard there, as Pat was just referring to. So now Wisconsin cannot hit that. So because of that, it looks like Alex G has made the decision. He's going to draw behind that guard, but still play to the center. So we've seen both teams now with Hammer choose to play behind center or slightly off center guards. And one thing I've noticed for sure, that I think the decision that you saw from Alex G early on to hit that first rock that just went in the house from lead Robert Chappell of Penn State, deciding to hit that rock. This is a nice draw. You know, it looks like it's pretty fully undercover. It is behind the tee, so it does allow for a freeze opportunity for Penn State to tighten the scoring area. But that's still a nice shot, at least in terms of the line. You know, but Penn State can definitely use this to create some offense themselves if they can sink a good one here with Istvan Preda. But what I was saying is that with that hit early on, it seems like Alex G is certainly willing to play more of a open style game, get rocks out of play, keep it clean. He trusts his team to hit. Typically that is a more defensive strategy, but if your team is really good at it, it is certainly very effective. It's the easiest way to control a game. Is just keep it simple. So you see rock and play, get it out of play, play the scoreboard if you need to. That's a really good shot there from Istvan Preda. It might not be shitting shot, it's hard to tell, but regardless, it's now created a nice little pocket there behind a guard. It has effectively tightened up the scoring area. And when I say tighten up the scoring area, what do I mean by that, Pat?
Having all the rocks as close to the button as you can. You know, you think about it, you know, you're scoring the whole house 12 feet. It's a scoring area for you. And all of a sudden, you know, you're the non-hammer team and you get a bunch of rocks in the 4 foot. Well, it's going to be really hard for the team with hammer to score multiple points, which is always the goal when you have the hammer.
Yeah, so it definitely does play to the advantage of the non-hammer team when the scoring area is really tight, for sure. And, so Penn State's happy with that result, even if it isn't shot. So it looks like just based on how the tempo of this end has shaped out, Wisconsin's going to try to tap that yellow, and they effectively do. Really good shot, but there is still that nice pocket there. Now if you're Penn State here, yeah, go ahead, Pat.
If Penn State comes down and they freeze right onto this, again, you're shrinking that scoring area. It's going to be tough for Madison to get more than one.
Absolutely. If you effectively freeze there, right on top of those reds, the only way really that Wisconsin has to open their scoring area back up and get more points is they have to get rid of their own shots that are actually working against them. Now that being said, this call here from Penn State is an aggressive one because you can see the sweepers are on it hard. If they don't get this to the house, the miss here is pro side miss, as we like to say, is deep here. If you miss light, which unfortunately this does seem like it's going to end up light, you now make it really hard for yourself. It did curl enough where I still think they could draw and freeze on top of that, but definitely would have been a little better to miss slightly heavy there, probably, than missing light, I would imagine.
You know, and here's the other thing about playing in the middle and, you know, a bunch of rocks in the 4 foot. You know, if Madison puts another one in here, well, now they got, you know, 3 rocks sitting in the 4 foot. Penn State's really got to start, you know, figuring out how they're going to do it.
Exactly, which is, you know, it's kind of counterintuitive to what we were just saying with the fact that typically when you're the non-hammer team, you want to tighten up that scoring area, but Wisconsin effectively was able to get 2 in there. Penn State had one chance to really, like, put this end in a vice hold, and
that's another good draw.
That's an excellent draw. Oh my goodness.
From Madison, Penn State's really got to come down and freeze on this one here, else
yeah,
get out of can real quick for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And if even freezing now at this point, you don't get 1 out of it. So freezing is just to, you know, cut down the scoring, make it just an end of 1 possibly for Wisconsin. But
Looks like they're electing for a hit.
Yep, and that's
like this call here.
You know what? I honestly do. I think you know you can't. This is a good team that's making a lot of shots. I mean, I think you could try to freeze 1 more time on top of it, but the line is probably going to be finicky. You got to stay around the guard and everything. I think the way they're lined up right now, I do actually kind of like the hit here, playing a little defense. I was considering that on the previous shot, but I with how big the pocket was. Sweepers are on it hard. Ooh,
just barely.
And it definitely had the weight to move a lot of granite, but it does just pick out their own stone. Not all for naught if you're Penn State. It does get that pesky guard, the own stone that they threw, that one that we said unfortunately was light, out of play, but Wisconsin's just going to return the favor, I'm sure, and put one right basically back where Penn State's rock was. So even though the scoring area is not necessarily that big, now it has completely flipped around where Wisconsin controls the scoring area, and it's going to be hard for Penn State to flip this back around. So, draw coming in here. Draw coming in from, I believe this is Oscar Schroeder, vice for Wisconsin. So that ends up being a center guard. So the line is good in that, you know, it prevents really, I mean, it looks like they might be thinking about that port. It's a tight port for sure. But it does really make it difficult for Penn State to do anything.
Again, and you know, if you're Penn State, you're in a really tough spot, because if you don't make the shot to the port, you're opening up the center, which is what you never want to do if you don't have the hammer.
Yeah.
But you're in a kind of dire situation.
I was just going to say that same thing. It's kind of counterintuitive here, but it looks like it's now working in the favor of Wisconsin with the center guard here, and it's actually hurting Penn State. Typically, the team without hammer wants it to be more congested, but not when the other team's hitting 3 all in the 4-foot or biting the 4-foot. So now this is just a purely defensive shot. So it does just blast out their own guard. It looks like it hung a little wide from Cameron Pauley. Not all bad. You know, it does open it up a little bit, which they kind of need to get in there. Looks like Alex G, though, is very well aware of what Penn State needs to do to get back in this end. He's going to plug up that draw path. How deep would you want this stone here if you're Wisconsin?
You know, that's a real good question. I think, you know, you don't need a 4th counter right now. You know, so guard is fine, but if you're in the rings and, you know, you touch the 8-foot and you're a 4th counter, that's not too bad either. So the line here, I think, is what's most important. Make sure you have a good rock play that takes away the draw path on that side too.
It looks like that's what they do pretty much exactly. Well, now there's definitely no port.
But I think you can draw around that side now. I think they wanted that rock a little bit more, a little wider.
Yeah, almost
not as close to the center line.
I think you're right, Pat. I think it's almost in a situation where you want to pretend that there's a port there and almost make Penn State go for a shot that's very low percentage. Now there's no port there. It did overcurl, and now it's kind of made the decision maybe a little easier for Penn State.
Yep.
You know what? We're not going to be able to get in there. Now let's just play this like a normal team would without hammer. Let's try to draw one in there. And if they can draw a good one in there, they can at least cut this down to 1.
Yeah, you pull one right frozen on top of that red rock, you know, you're probably not going to be shot, but at least you get rid of, you know, you should get rid of Madison's back 2 reds from counting.
Exactly. And there is a little bit of backing here. What I mean by backing is that there are stones. Yeah, they got to get it there. You can. This is another one where you could miss a little heavy, but missing light is not ideal. But that is a beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful
That's
shot.
really good.
That is a. I don't mean to exaggerate, but you could argue that is a game-saving shot even early. You know, you don't want to fall behind early.
I agree with you on that.
Especially to 2-time defending national champions. That has completely flipped this end around, where now it looks like Wisconsin is either going to have to try to be super aggressive, which might give up a steal, or just concede that they're only going to get their 1 here and tie up the game after 2 ends.
Looks like Madison's looking for some sort of a setup shot here, because the only way to get those back reds to count now is to try to chip that yellow out of there. And right now, I don't think there's any way for them to do so.
Yeah.
So they might try to put a rock over on the side, like top 8 somewhere, and then they can play off it.
See if they can play off it later.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. And now this, you know, as a commentator, I might have been looking more like a fool with the way that the hammer team was playing more towards the center. But now this is more traditional of what we'd expect. The non-hammer team likes this setup. So actually now those center guards for Wisconsin are actually coming back to bite them, because this scoring area is just so tight. It is not working to their favor with hammer. So now it's making me look good as a commentator. It took a little time. Anyways, it looks like we're up to 33 people now in the live chat. So if there's anyone watching that'd like to comment on anything that they're seeing in the game, any comments, questions, concerns for myself or Pat, we would be happy to take them. So if you just want to comment where you're watching from, the more the merrier. I'm happy to have feedback here. So this shot here looks like it just ends up being another center guard from Alex G. And so now it really just seems like both teams are probably just going to play for this to be a take of 1, a force of 1, as we call it, for Wisconsin. I don't think Penn State really should try anything that risks their position that they're in right now. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I agree with that, and it looks like they're going to try to play a guard over on the left side. Make sure there's no way for Madison to kind of sneak in around that side and catch more of the button from two. But yeah, like you said, this is one of those ends where you're sitting really nicely right here. You're Penn State. You're really forcing Madison to take one. You don't really want to change anything too much.
No, certainly not. Certainly not. And it looks like that's exactly what they do.
That's a fine shot.
Yep. No harm. So really, if you're Wisconsin here, what are you looking at? I mean, I guess I'll ask you. Going to the mind of Alex G here. Do you like going hyper aggressive here and trying to
run
do
the
something?
red back,
Yeah,
maybe?
or because it's early and you think that the risk reward is it's a high reward for somewhat low risk, or do you prefer to just take your one because the risk is, and it's a decent risk of that, you give up a steal of one instead of taking your one.
It's true. I would probably I think what he's doing is the right call here. Maybe draw around. Maybe you can catch more of the button. It is swinging a lot on this side, so you might be able to get around that guard and catch just enough of the button to get to you.
Yeah, even then it's going to be
very hard
to photo finish. So they're trying to glue it in that side of the button.
Yeah.
See if they can out count. I don't even know if it's there. I don't know if there's enough room. But yeah, they are definitely doing a safer. This is a safer way of trying to get their second point, even if it's not even physically there. Turns out that just over curls a bit and hits that guard. Not necessarily any harm. It's not like they were trying to do anything hyper aggressive there. So really great shot from Eric Welp on his first stone to really flip that end around and get the force. So Wisconsin just takes their one with hammer. And we got a good one on our hands here. 2 ends in, 1-1. And looking over to sheet 4, where we have the University of Wisconsin-Stevens point taking on Bowdoin. Looks like they have stolen in back-to-back ends with a steal of 2 in the first and a steal of 1 in the second. So they are now up 3-0. Similar format to their game against Castleton yesterday, where they stole for a while before Castleton was finally able to get on the board. Over on sheet 2, where we are in the consolation semifinals between Michigan Tech and University of Minnesota, the Golden Gophers. Looks like Gracie Cohn's skip for Michigan Tech is throwing, I believe this looks like, is this her last rock?
Yeah,
Hammer rock for red,
Maybe trying to run the yellow back, double his yellows out, have your red on the side count for 1.
It is only going to be for 1, but that seems to be the shot to go for. Gracie's throwing some missiles and hit. We saw in some of our earlier draws, this one looks to be hanging out a little wide. You don't want to do that, though. And that's unfortunate for Michigan Tech. It's got a lot of action on it. Can the sweeper get it? Can the sweeper get it out?
Yeah, it looks like.
Yeah, okay, all right. So
still only 1.
It looks like it's just 1, so almost a bad result, but no harm, no foul. So it is another steal, or a steal for Minnesota. So they're up 2-0 on Michigan Tech. Back to our feature sheet here. First stone here from Wisconsin just bites the house. It looks like the sweepers were sweeping hard to get that in the house. Why might they be trying to get that in the house? We mentioned earlier the free guard zone rule, so why might Wisconsin be trying to get that in the house?
It seems like Wisconsin, they already seem to like their hits, so, they put one in the house. They're inviting Penn State to have to deal with it early on, which if Penn State hits, I think, that plays to, Madison's, game where they just keep on hitting, blank and end.
Ideally force 1 at some point.
Or force 1, yep. Yeah, really good start from
I've seen that a lot. Yeah, it is a really good start. I've seen that a lot from a lot of those teams that actually play in Wisconsin, Minnesota area, having played them before. It seems to be a common trend. I'm not trying to, believe me, not trying to stereotype anyone here in the audience, but it seems like they are very effective at playing the scoreboard, playing more towards a force. They're not necessarily playing aggressively for a steal, whereas a lot of us here on the East Coast, I've seen play more of a traditional, maybe at least for us it's traditional, it might be opposite there in the Midwest, but traditional style of center guards, try to steal, maybe a more aggressive style of stealing, but I have seen a lot of those teams from the Midwest do exactly what we're seeing there, try to invite the other team to hit, make it a defensive end, and glad to force the other team to just take their 1 with hammer.
And, With that being said, Madison's confident with their hits. They're going to put a lot of rocks in the house, because they want to play a hit game. They think it favors them. And yeah, let's see how Penn State
Exactly,
reacts
and if you get a few
these early
flashes,
rocks.
then you can switch to stealing at that point, right? If you get a few misses. Right now, it looks like now this is actually more of a traditional style end if you're the non-hammer team for Wisconsin. So, we'll see if they adapt their strategy now that they're sitting with some nice coverage behind two kind of staggered guards there and one stone basically on the button. Second stone here from Robert Chappell, lead for Penn State. They're sweeping hard. This looks like a really good stone, and it is a really good stone.
Yeah, that's a great shot.
That's perfect. Team's pumped up about that, and rightfully so. That's a really good stone. Now, granted, you are tightening up the scoring area with the hammer again, but it's going to be almost impossible for Wisconsin to remove that rock easily.
Yep.
Any way you get to that yellow, you probably tap it just back into your own red, which is what Penn State, would like. It would open the scoring area back up a little bit. So this might be another situation if you're Wisconsin. Do you ever consider just saying, let's play this end and concede just one? As it is, they were starting off this end defensively. So I wonder if you ever just say, you know what, let's just guard up their stone and assume that they're not going to get a second counter in there. Probably too early to think that, I would imagine.
Here of your Penn State?
If I'm Penn State, I think I actually like bumping my shot rock. It doesn't look like that's what they're going to do. Looks like maybe that's ice more for guard or maybe simple draw. I don't mind bumping the yellow here into that red and having the shooter roll a little bit. Try to get two stones separated. Ideally, you get that red bumped, that red that's kind of corner frozen tube back exposed, so you can always hit it out later. You want to open the scoring area back up a bit. But I also see merit to just this is a two-time defending national champion team you're playing here. You got a point locked in there. Let's
get rocks in the forefront.
Yeah, let's just put more rocks in play, and we can get cute later with trying to get multiple points here.
I think that's an okay shot too. The other shot that I kind of like, I don't mind playing off of that top red. You could have hit that. And,
you could have, yeah.
Open up the scoring area.
Yeah, and maybe if you get the right angle, I think I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, you might have been able to double out those two reds too.
Yep. Certainly not a bad option. I don't think you can hurt yourself as yellow attempting that shot, right?
Yeah.
It is a big roll.
Might be trying to double out those two yellows up front, but might be able to get into both moves.
Might be able to, rattle off of one into the other. It'll leave the red around. This looks like it's hanging wide. It does still move some granite around. Kind of changes the angles up for Wisconsin. Doesn't do much for the Penn State rock. Doesn't really expose it, but it looks like the Wisconsin rock's exposed. So I wonder if Penn State ever wants to try to chip out that red, or maybe they like the way it's corner frozen right now. I don't know. Looks like they're going to try to draw one in there. Risk of this shot right now is you draw one in. If you leave it wide, you do give a wider target for Wisconsin to possibly get the angle they want to chip out your shot rock if you're Penn State here. So
yeah, you gotta make this one real good.
Yeah, be careful. Cameron Pauly and Eric Welp are on the sweep here, it looks like. Line looks pretty good. It's got a curl. So the shot is excellent. Excellent shot there.
That's a good shot.
It does freeze on top of it. It does give a wider target here, but the good thing is that if you hit it, if you're Wisconsin, you hit it, you're gonna hit out that back red. So I do think that's actually a really excellent result. Hard to tell who's second count right now. Not that it matters at this point yet in the end. Really good result.
I'm surprised Madison isn't trying to play decent weight at those two yellows and trying to move them around a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to go right on top of them there.
If you can freeze in that pocket, that's a really good result.
It's a
too.
commanding
it's real
spot.
Hard for Penn State to get more than one.
Yeah, get more than one, and there's potential steal on. It's changed up the angles to Wisconsin's favor.
Yeah, and then you can always use that rock later. It's frozen right in that pocket.
And ends up just being a little bit light. Not necessarily a bad result there, as in Penn State now can't necessarily do anything to, or shouldn't really, and against them. Like I say, they can't, but probably ought not to do anything on that side. Wisconsin can if they want to be aggressive later on in this end. So it does at least take that draw path side away from Penn State, and also takes the bumping yellow back into red away from Penn State as well. So it's hard for them to open that scoring area back up. Looks like another draw coming from Cameron Pauley here, Penn State. We did send a questionnaire to college students that were coming here for nationals ahead of time, just see if they wanted to give any shout outs to people that might be on the call here. Now that we have 38 people listening on the live chat, we've already done Penn State on a feature game. We haven't done anything for Wisconsin yet, since they haven't been on a feature sheet. So start with Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin, Madison. Shout out from Alex G to Mason Mader, who built the club from the ground up. As we said, that club was established in 2022, and clearly has been very effective as the two-time defending national champion. Oscar Schroeder wants to give a shout out to lifelong friends he's met through curling who are supporting him. And Clayton Nels wants to shout out the Nels, Carmen, and Rognes family. I know that we did have a comment earlier from Amy Nels in the chat, so hopefully she's watching, part of that Nels family, I would imagine. So we got some shout outs here from the Wisconsin folks who appreciate you. Ava Rosler, who's the alternate, I believe, for Madison, also wants to shout out family, specifically Mom Laura Delaney Rosler. So what are we looking at here, Pat, now for Penn State?
Penn State's got the hammer. They're sending shot, maybe two. It's hard to tell. Red might be second shot. If you're Penn State, I don't mind. You could hit and roll off of that red on the side and try to get another one in the forefront. You can also chip your red up or your yellow up that's sitting on the same side. So let's see what they're trying to do. Looks like maybe they're just trying to guard.
Stone on the way, sweepers are on it. It's hanging out pretty wide, really close to that board there. Now it's starting to curl.
They're trying to, looks like they're going to chip up that yellow. This could be pretty good.
Yeah, overcurls just a little bit. They probably wanted to be a little bit more outside of that.
Yeah. So maybe it's real close. Line just needed to curl just a touch less.
Absolutely. And you see here immediately Alex G, who, based on the double we saw in the first end, has probably no shortage of confidence in shots like this, is willing to run that red back. You like that call here?
Yeah, I think this is the right call here. If you hit it just right, you can get both yellows to move and have your red be shot.
Which red are you talking about being shot?
The red that the broom's right next to. If they run that back into the two yellows, you might be able to get both yellows to move out and have that red be shot.
Yeah, the back red's probably going to go.
Almost certainly
going to go.
Sure. Yep. Let's see how this goes. Looks real close.
Okay, it does get one of those red, yellows out of play. It does move the red backing. Penn State is still sitting one, but it is exposed, it looks like. So it definitely moved things around, and definitely at least forces Penn State here to think about what they want to do.
I think if you're Penn State, I think you just try to draw around that same side that the hit got thrown on. You get one right top forward, button the button. It's going to be real hard for Madison to not give up more than one.
Absolutely. You see Cameron Pauley here, as mentioned. This is more of what I guess we expected from Cameron. You know, not necessarily holding the broom. So he's only holding the broom on the lead stones, but then it looks like he's having Robert Chappell, holding the broom for the remaining 6 stones. But he's coming down and talking over the strategy, and then he comes back and sweeps the rocks. So he is getting involved in many ways here. But yeah, it does look like they did decide that shot call that you decided, Pat. So it seems like they heard you and decided to go with that. I think that's a wise decision here. Have Eric Welp throw that nice draw. Ideally, not set up an easy double for Alex G. Stone looks a little light. Sweepers are pounding it hard. The line is excellent, though. If they can get this to go another, 8 feet, this would be excellent. All right, well, still a good result.
It's not
a bad result. It does half cover that yellow. There is a chip out if Alex G wants to be aggressive. If he chips that out, Wisconsin's going to be sitting, what, 3, it looks like?
Yeah, 2 or 3. It looks like they might be sitting 3.
Yeah,
so.
If they chip out that yellow, I don't know if they're going to necessarily go for that. It doesn't look like they're discussing that right now.
I think he's also looking at coming in off of his own red, which I don't mind that call either. There's not a lot of room around that yellow card, or the yellow one that's in the top 12.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a tough spot for Madison. Both those shots are, it's real hard to make both those shots.
Yeah, it's a tough shot for Madison. What do you think Penn State's easiest shot? Let's pretend Alex threw it away for whatever reason. What would be Penn State's easiest shot for 2 here, even if Alex did nothing for Wisconsin here?
I think their easiest shot is to come down and try to bump that yellow up that they just threw. I mean, you could hit the reds over there on the left if you're Penn State, but
yeah, I'm just trying to see if the angle's there. They probably could bump that same shot. It does look like it's half buried, so they might not be able to get the weight that they want or the angle. Actually, I think they could always have a little heavier weight, right, on that yellow, and they could possibly angle it into those reds on the side. So I think you might be right. They have a lot of promote options. If you're Penn State, you do have promote options.
This is why this is so tough for Madison here, is because it's really hard. You got to get real close to that yellow if you want to hit and roll in and be shot. But then coming the other way too to just chip the yellow out, you got to be real close to that other yellow. So no real easy options here for Madison.
I wonder, and I guess they're not trying this shot, so. But if you hit wide enough on that middle red of those 3 that are kind of on the side there, would you ever squirt that one stone sideways?
You could, yeah.
That's kind of a unique shot. This is close. Yeah, they're close.
Well, that's the right idea.
Yeah, if they had been maybe like 5 inches wider from that stone that Alex G just threw, I wonder if they would have been able to squirt that one red stone sideways into the 4-foot. Hard to tell. I guess we'll never know now, but yeah. Yeah, if you're Penn State here, you got to get it in the 4-foot. There are 2 red counters that are basically just outside the 4-foot, so you got to bite 4-foot here. So whatever your easiest way to get that, you go for it here. And this is pretty wide room. What are they going for here, Pat?
Looks like they're trying to draw around and maybe try to chip up the yellow, but it looks like a little too much ice for the tap.
Yeah, I don't know if it's.
Looks like they're drawing right around, sit right on top of their other yellow, get to you that way.
Yeah, so they got to try to keep this as wide as possible, presumably.
Yeah.
They're doing pretty well. It's close. Ooh, be careful.
Like
they're gonna do it for the. They're
try to chip.
Did they get it?
And
it looks like they got it. From the overhead camera, it looks like they got
shot.
it. Yep, and they're happy about it. You were right, Pat. That was the shot they chose to do, and well executed by Penn State. Get their deuce with hammer, which is always the goal. Get multiple points. So they take a 3-1 lead over the 2-time defending national champion Wisconsin Badgers. And we will take a look at some of the other sheets while we're at the 1-minute break. Others championship semifinal here. Bowdoin was able to get out of the rut with hammer. They did at least get their 1, so now they're in a steal position. They have 2 nicely staggered guards to start here on the 4th end. So see if Bowdoin can claw back into that. Sheet 2 in one of the consolation semifinal games here. We have Minnesota and Michigan Tech. Looks like here that they did not hang the score yet for the third. Oh no, is it blanked? Is that a blank end that I see there?
Looks like it.
Looks like it. So they blanked the 3rd end. So it means that Michigan Tech still has the hammer, down 2 in this 4th end. And finally on sheet 3, we haven't really been covering this one as much, but this is between Yale and RIT. And this one looks like it's got some major scoring. Looks like a major shift this past end. RIT with a 5-ender against Yale.
To go up just 1.
To go up just 1, yeah. Down 4 to up 1. What a swing. So the RIT Tigers out of Rochester have come back to take the lead against Yale in this consolation semifinal on sheet 3. Back to our feature sheet here. Pat, something I wanted to mention, and this is just kind of speaks to the nature of curling, I think to a T, is Penn State is the 1 seed right now in this bracket by virtue of they won their pool and they had the best draw shot challenge scores for the tiebreaker, I believe. So I believe they're the 1 seed overall. I could be mistaken in that, but I think that's what they were. Interestingly enough, their 1 loss so far at Nationals was their first game, which was on a feature sheet that I believe I called with Matt Green actually on the call. And they lost to Denver, who, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the, at the end of it, they ended up losing their pool, and I believe they were actually the 8 seed in the consolation bracket. So that's the, I mean, I guess if you want to draw it up in seedings, I believe it was the 16 seed beat the 1 seed here at Nationals. That goes to speak to the nature of curling, and also goes to speak to the level of competition and how anyone can beat anyone on any given day here at Nationals.
Yeah, it speaks a lot about curling, because there's a lot of times where you're out there and maybe you're playing against a team that you think's got a little more experience than you guys, and all of a sudden they got one off day, one off game, and you definitely got a good chance. It can happen anytime in curling.
Absolutely. I played a game with actually one of the timers here. He was actually commented the Friday night game here on the feature sheet. Joe Skolsky and I played on a team once together in the same Bonspiel 2 days apart. We beat a team 13-0 in 6 ends. Same team ended up, just by virtue of the nature of Bonspiel draws, sometimes we played each other again, and we lost to them the second time.
Oh, wow.
After beating them 13-0 the first game. So
anything can
anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The ice is very variable at times, and sometimes you're curling really well. You got the ice figured out. Very next draw, maybe you're on a different sheet somewhere else. Struggle to figure it out.
Yep. Sometimes just the flow of the game. As I mentioned, 13-0 in the win indicates you got a bunch of steals, so you kind of get in a rhythm, stealing. Maybe if we hadn't stolen all those ends, it might have been a tighter game. But sometimes you get those runaways, and so maybe we were actually closer matched teams than we had expected. So the scoreboard doesn't always tell you the full story.
Madison makes the hit. Unfortunately, they roll over a little more than they would like to. Sets up a double for Penn State.
Does set up a double. You like the double here, even though you don't have hammer?
Yeah, I think so. Just you're up by 2. Get rid of both of those red rocks. Make sure Madison doesn't have a good chance at a big end here.
Looks like this is going to be a pretty defensive end. I mean, I think a lot can change still early, but this takeout here from Istvan Preda is hopefully going to get both those rocks out of play. If you're Penn State, no real guards in play, so it doesn't look like you're not expecting to score this end. So unfortunately, that hangs just a little wide and only picks out the top one.
Sweeps it around it for the line for most of the way, and it looks like they need to curl a little bit more.
So it looks like Alex G is going to try to split the house, as we say. So basically prevent a situation like that where 2 stones can be taken out with 1 throw, make it so that those stones are not doubleable. We're now up to 46 people in the live chat. Good morning to all who are watching from presumably both East Coast, maybe Pennsylvania. I guess not East Coast, State Colleges, more central Pennsylvania, but anyone in central Pennsylvania, as well as those in Wisconsin, out in the Midwest. Good morning to all of you. If you are in the chat and you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, we'd love to hear it, so feel free to put anything in the live chat. We will, Pat and I will do our best to get to it as we're commentating here. So, love to hear from you. Please don't be shy. I'll have a quick moment. Looks like they're talking over the shot here quickly. I do want to say that Penn State had a few shout-outs as well. Cameron Pauly wants to shout out his grandparents, Jim and Penny. Eric Welp wants to give a shout-out to his family and the general fans who are watching. Istvan Preda, just throwing this rock right now, wants to give a shout-out to his uncle and his siblings. And Robert Chappell wants to thank his Grandma Sally and Grandma Leslie. Yeah, that's a nice hit there. There was no double there as Wisconsin effectively split the house. So at this point, Penn State is content to just keep trading hits. Hopefully at some point Wisconsin, either misses a hit. Obviously, at this point with Istvan rolling out, Wisconsin doesn't have to hit. They can just draw to the wing. So maybe they miss a draw. But at some point, Penn State's hoping that they just have something that's not in the house. Wisconsin has something not in the house, so they can just keep playing defense, make sure that this is either going to be a blank end or a 1 end. There's also a couple shout-outs from alternates on Penn State. Francesca Bria wants to shout out her mom, Tina, Dad Charlie, and they are amazing parents and deserve all the praise in the world. It's really nice there from Francesca. And Thomas Flexer, another alternate, wants to also give a shout out to the family, his family, and the general fans, same as Eric. So if you're, and it looks like here there was a misfire on Wisconsin's part, so that's exactly what Penn State was looking for. So they're gonna just hit here. If you're Wisconsin, presumably you want to keep the hammer if the end stays this way. If you blank the end, is that a good result for both teams?
Yeah, I think for Penn State, they're okay with that. They're up to, I think they're fine with blanking, kind of just having an end go waste.
Yeah, especially an even-numbered end. I know that that's not always the thought process, and that's a nice-looking shot there. Hit and stick around there, and it's kind of towards the end there, so it's going to be difficult for Wisconsin to hit and make sure they stay in the rings here. But yeah, if you blank an even-numbered end, that typically works to the advantage of the team that didn't have hammer, because basically, if you're doing the math, it's an 8-end game. You've basically taken away an end of hammer for Wisconsin by doing that. So now, right now, if both teams were to hold serve, to use a tennis expression, Wisconsin has 3 hammers left to Penn State's 2. But if they blank this end, it would be 2 hammers to 2, with Penn State having a 2-point lead after 4 ends. So a blank here would still be a great result for Penn State, and I'm sure that they're thinking about that.
Yeah, that's a great comment on that. And you see a lot of the top teams when they're playing, especially at the Olympics and these high-level tournaments that are out there. They very much think a lot about, hey, we want to blank those ends, so we make sure we have the hammer coming back home in the last end.
Absolutely. And at the level that these guys are playing at, I mean, you can definitely make the case that these are possibly the 2 best college teams in the country. Obviously they're playing in the semifinals. That might just be the nature of the bracket. And obviously we'll have to see who wins out of the Bowdoin. And it's obviously no disrespect to the Bowdoin or University of Wisconsin-Stevens point. I'm just saying it could be. These are the best 2 teams in the country, best 2 colleges in the country. With a really unfortunate flash there if you're Penn State. But you probably are thinking more on that level, whereas maybe people like us at the club level, at least on like a regular league night, might not be thinking as much about blanking an end or anything like that. But these talented students here, I'm sure that's on their mind for sure.
Yeah, most likely probably is.
Got some more support for the Badgers out there. Got a lot of Badgers support out there. I want to say hello to the great state of Wisconsin.
Looks like the Deuce might be back in play for Madison.
Definitely, yeah. After it went from, looks like the 2 was in play for Wisconsin to getting a miss on a draw, and Penn State looked like they were going to force the blank. That one flash hit has swung the pendulum right back to Wisconsin. That's a really nice shot there. That's a really flat double. I think it's the shot call here is you hit one, make sure it gets out of play. If you can get a little bit of a roll, I think instead of maybe taking that other one out of play, if you can sit
roll right on top
roll on top of it is probably the better result here if you're Cameron Pauly throwing this stone here for Penn State.
Yeah,
sorry, it's Eric Pope's stone.
It's very flat. I don't know if you ever get rid of both of them without throwing humongous weight, but hitting and rolling in on top of it, that red rock's behind the tee line. That
flips things around for sure. Exactly. Then suddenly it's like, oh, now what does Wisconsin do to outcount that? Now it's not even a blank end. It's like, oh, we might be actually forcing them.
Get one.
Yeah, exactly. We might just be forcing them here instead of blanking. All right, so they do hit the outer side, so that means they weren't ever going to get that roll there, but taking out of play is fine. It looks like Wisconsin is still sitting 1. So Wisconsin here has a couple options, whatever they feel best about here. I think probably just hitting and sticking around. You could, if you're nervous about sticking around, you could always, corner freeze on top of that.
You could do that too. I don't mind that. I don't mind the corner freeze either, because you are shot. You do have the option to freeze to that yellow. You don't have to take it out.
Right. But the hit is probably the higher percentage shot, especially for someone like Alex here. I assume that's what he needs. Freeze is difficult, but you do have options where it's just like, as long as you're out counting with any kind of draw, that yellow doesn't necessarily do any harm to you when you have the hammer.
Oh, it looks like it's going to overcurl.
Will it hit it? No, it's not even going to get a piece of it. Well, now this is another pendulum swing back in favor of Penn State. If Penn State can hit that red rock, you want to stick around. So we were talking about the blank, but I assume you want to just stick around now. Hit that red, and basically you've split the house for the hammer rock for Alex G. And basically there's going to
Madison to take one.
Take one, exactly. And if they get another flash, then it's a steal at 2. It's not your traditional steal, but it's a steal nonetheless. It's kind of the same thing I saw last night in the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point game, where Stevens Point wasn't even necessarily trying to steal. They were just trying to put pressure on the other team, and team's cracked. So this will hit. Will it roll out? This is important if it rolls out or not. Really good defensive sweep. Is it out?
Yeah,
they're looking overhead to confirm if it's out or not. They're giving it a deep look. So Pat, why does it matter so much again? Just to reiterate for the audience, why does it matter so much if that's out or not?
Yeah, so if that's out, then Madison, and it looks like it might be. It looks like Madison can go down. They can hit the yellow rock, and if they're red, if all the rocks leave the rings, then it's a blank end, and the team that has the hammer, they'll keep the hammer into the next end. So, talking about, when you have hammer, you want to make sure you get at least more than one. You want to try to get your deuce when you have hammer. This is if that rock was sitting around, there would be no way for them to have all the rocks leave and keep the hammer. So they would have to get only one. And now it looks like they can hit blank.
Hit and spill is now the goal. Whereas if that stone's biting, you want to hit and stick. You got to at least take your one. If it otherwise, and that's got so much action.
Peel.
Yeah, great peel. Seems like both teams agreed that stone was out of the rings. Could swing the biter bar around if they really wanted to get cute with it here, but it seems like both teams were pretty well aware that that was out of play. Well, maybe not. Are they calling a technical timeout? Looks like Cameron Pauly wants to get the biter bar out. Yeah, okay. Got confirmation they are going to do that just to confirm. But Wisconsin seemed pretty sure that was out of play based on the weight that Alex G just threw. He wanted to make sure that basically as long as he doesn't hit dead nose that stone, that rock that he throws is going to roll out. Well, we did say the blank's not a bad result for Penn State by any means. A steal of 1 is a much worse result for Wisconsin. So that they would, obviously, if they thought that stone was in play, they would have tried to stick around on that hit there.
Good on Penn State for calling the biter bar. It looks like from the overhead view, it looks like it might be out, but the rings aren't always perfect right to the edges. So sometimes you think a rock might be in or it might be out, and you run the biter bar, and hey, it's the other way around. So always worth and it looks like it's out.
It's out. Yep. So if Wisconsin was correct in their assumption, no points awarded. So it is a blank end. So at the end of 4 ends, we're at the halftime 5-minute break now. The score is 3-1 in favor of Penn State, with Wisconsin retaining the hammer moving into the 5th end. So we would give you a around the horn showing, but no sheets have resumed yet, although we're getting close on sheets 2 and 4 to resume play, so we'll probably cover those as bonus coverage. But just to let teams know, Michigan Tech did get 1 point in the 4th, so they're down 2-1 with Minnesota having the lead and the hammer in the 5th. And that was over in the consolation. Now we are starting this end here, and this is in the other championship semifinal between Bowdoin out of Maine and University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. Looks like Bowdoin has clawed back into it. A lot of steals in that game, so it is 3-2 with Bowdoin needing to steal again to tie that game back up. And on sheet 3, they're at the break right now, but it looks like Yale was able to get 1 point with hammer in the 4th to tie that game up at 5, with RIT getting the hammer right back in the 5th end to start the second half. So we got some close games here. Actually, all games right now are within 2 points halfway through. Like to see that. Yesterday in the quarterfinals, championship quarterfinals that was, some games actually got out of hand pretty quickly. It was kind of surprising to see. I think some of the teams that are real strong contenders have gotten used to the ice, and they ran away with it. But it was surprising to see, though, because even now as we're looking at the one sheet that's actually playing right now between Bowdoin and University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, both of these teams actually beat teams that had previously defeated them in pool play. Both in classics. Bowdoin lost a 10-9 game in pool play to University of Nebraska Omaha. That was I think we were on the call for that one. Right?
Yeah.
That was a great game, 10-9 final there. Bowdoin was able to beat them pretty handedly last night. University of Nebraska Omaha, that is. And then University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point actually played the same team twice in the same day yesterday. Castleton out of Vermont, and Castleton was able to beat them in a classic in pool play before Stevens Point kind of stole them. Death by 1,000 steals, basically, yesterday. And as I had mentioned before, it wasn't even necessarily stealing style ends. It was more of playing some defense, and Castleton just unfortunately misfired on a couple aggressive shots. There were a few shots that swung ends around. Castleton was sitting possibly 2 or 3 multiple times, and a couple great shots. Honestly, Stevens Point was just on their game last night. Draw or hit. They had thrown only hits the first 3 ends, and then 4th end becomes a draw game, and they're throwing darts, drawing. It's like, what are you going to do when a team that's throwing nothing but hits and still...
it's all working for you, it feels pretty
exactly,
good.
Exactly. So we got 48 people listening in the live chat. We're still at the halfway break. The only game in action right now is the one that you see on your screen right now between University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point and Bowdoin. These two teams battling it out for a chance at the gold medal. Winner of both of these games, both our feature sheet and this game, are guaranteed a medal no matter what. Guaranteed a bronze medal, a silver medal at worst if they win this game here. So definitely a big game. They are guaranteed a game regardless. There will be a bronze medal game. Actually, all teams that you see today are guaranteed to play in our next draw at noon. Anyone in the chat listening, if you have any questions, topics for discussion, just thoughts in general, if you want to heckle Pat but not me, that's okay. Feel free to post in the chat. Happy to interact with our audience here. And as soon as I say that, a few people drop out. I think people are getting scared. But please, don't be shy. We're happy to have you all listening. We got teams are getting close to resuming on the other sheets, but not quite yet. We'll stay here for another shot or two. Sorry, now Stevens Point is nicely buried behind a center guard, so Bowdoin was trying to go for the steal, try to clog up that center. Stevens Point was happy to just play to the center. It looks like they're happy now to throw a corner frozen center guard. So again, not necessarily conventional strategy, but when you got a counter as nice as that, sitting top of the button, conventional strategy kind of goes out the window. And we've now resumed play on sheet 3. That's between RIT and Yale, so they're throwing their first stones. Sheet 2 looks like they're resuming. And on our feature sheet, sheet 1, we are now underway again with Wisconsin still having the hammer. Penn State throwing lead rocks here with Robert Chappell. Sweepers are on this early. Looks like they think this is light. Now they're off it again. So it looks like they do want that center guard. So a little bit more traditional, as I was saying earlier, a little more traditional East Coast style maybe. Try to set up some offense. They are up 3-1, so they don't need to get too aggressive here, obviously. Draw to the wings here from Wisconsin. That's more traditional. That's probably the first time we've actually seen a setup that's more traditional from a hammer team. We've seen a lot of draw behind center guards. This one's just not curling at all, and that's actually going to hit a center guard. And Cameron Pauly just grabs it. Why did Cameron just grab that?
Yeah, so that yellow rock was on the center line, and as of 3 years ago, maybe 4, just a few years back, they made a rule that says that if the guard inside of that 5-guard, free rock zone, if that guard's on the center line and you touch it and you move it off the center line, then that rock can go back into play. It's up to to the opposing skip. He can keep the rocks where they were, or he can put the rock right back where it was and remove the other team shot rock from out of play.
Yep, and with a perfect guard like they got from Robert Chappell, Penn State's like, why not? Let's put it there, take Wisconsin's out of play. We're going to use our own guard here. And so they're going to throw another one a little deeper. This looks really nice as well. This might not be quite on the center line. It's not, but it's staggered. So that stone can be touched. It can't be taken out of play, right? But that can be touched.
You can move that rock around. But yeah, good staggered center guards.
Yeah, really, really nice. And so now Alex G, seeing that position and knowing that he can't touch that center guard, is just going to use them to his own advantage, and he's going to draw behind. So now playing more towards the pace and style of Penn State. So Penn State, you know, with a 3-1 lead, they could have chosen to just come straight in the house, but obviously that's a very conservative call. It's still quite early in the game, and you don't have a huge lead here. So I like the play call from Penn State. This is a great shot from University of Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's a really good shot.
Really good rock. Yep.
Yeah.
It's, you know, honestly, if you're Wisconsin there, you like that where it is. You probably don't want that any deeper, because then Penn State can tighten up the scoring area. So you like that where it's fully buried, but it still gives you plenty of room to work with, you know, towards the center at the end. So that's almost, I can't think of a better spot behind two guards if you're the hammer team.
Yeah.
If you're the non-hammer team, maybe you'd like it a little deeper, but for the hammer team, I like that a lot. So it looks like they're going to try to do an even better shot. By better shot, I mean closer to the button at least. Better for their purposes for sure, Penn State. So with Istvan Preda from originally Richmond, Virginia, junior, majoring in accounting. And it looks like it's just going to end up being short. So it is another guard. Not necessarily a bad result if you want to steal. That being said, you don't have any stones in the house, and Wisconsin's going to try to beat you to it and control the next layer, I guess, afterwards.
If you're Madison here, anything on this line is really good. As long as you're in the house, your top 12 is not bad. Top 8's really good too.
Yep. So if you're Wisconsin, you're past the free guard zone rule here. Would you ever think about hitting any of those guards, or no, not really?
You could. That'd be one way to go at this end.
Definitely, but with how good that first red rock that they just threw before was, and this one too, oh my goodness. I mean, that's an excellent draw there. I mean, there's some claps from Wisconsin fans in the warm room here. They like what they're seeing.
That's a great draw. You know, I mean, I think you would want it a little bit higher. If Penn State can ever draw around and freeze right onto that red, you're really shrinking the scoring area. And at that point, that's when you might see Madison try to open up the center, try to play at that yellow that Penn State would have kind of frozen right down there.
Exactly. So a really important shot here from Istvan Preda. They do have the opportunity to tighten that scoring area, very similar to that great shot that Eric Wilp had in that second end, that end that looked like it was going to be danger for Penn State. They kind of need something like that now, because even though this is playing to the pace that Penn State wants, it really does look close. Oh my goodness. It's a little heavy, but it can be a little heavy. You don't want it to roll too far here. Okay, so it was a little heavier than they wanted, but probably needed to be to get that around the guard there. Not a bad result there. It's, at least it's out counting the top red there, and Wisconsin will have to do something with it. But yeah, this is shaping up similarly to that second end that we saw with Wisconsin, where originally it was like, oh, this is playing to the favor of Penn State, but you leave a draw short as another guard, and if Wisconsin beats you there, well, then you can kind of shot yourself in the foot. But looks like there's still opportunities for Penn State to get in, and certainly Wisconsin's going to try to take those away right now. Got some comments here in the chat. Time to lock TF in Bucky Badgers. Not going to say what TF is, but I would certainly. I'm not averse to cursing, but maybe on the air.
I understand where they're going with that. So.
Absolutely.
Looks like Penn State's going to try to draw around the other way here.
And we got great coverage here. This is better commentary than the Women's World Championships. Well, that's the highest praise we could possibly get. Well, we appreciate it. Although I did watch some of the Women's World Championships. I guess I'll cease commenting on whether that's a real compliment or not. But much appreciated nonetheless. I appreciate the compliment.
Very kind words.
Very kind words for sure. And nice shot, Clayton Nels. Yeah, that was I believe the first draw that went to the top 8, and that, as we said, that was picture perfect. If you're going to play to the center with hammer, that's where you want that stone to be. Penn State coming the other way. It does look like that stone back button is peeking out that way. If they can freeze on top of that, that is an end-changing shot. This is a little wide, and they're sweeping to push it. Well, it's not a bad result. It is again, closing down that scoring area for Wisconsin, but it did partially bury that red a bit more. It is still back button, so Wisconsin's going to try to beat them there, knowing that Penn State absolutely wants to come in that draw path now.
Reluctant to draw around here. You could also try to throw like hack or board weighted that yellow hit and try to flop over on top of your red a little bit. I think both shots would be fine.
Yeah, I agree. Stone looks like it's a little light. Sweepers are on it. Alex is trying to come out. Alex G's trying to come out and help his sweepers here. But it looks like this shot is. Ooh, wow, that's a great sweep. I take it back.
Really
I take it back.
Nice
That's a great shot. It actually ended up going more towards the back. We got some more claps from the Wisconsin fans here. They're happy to see it.
If you're Penn State, you got to have one of those end-saving draws here. Try to draw right around on top of the red.
Yeah.
If you freeze on the inside of the red, you might be shot.
You might be shot, yeah.
That'd be a really good spot for you. So,
no,
yeah.
That's a good point, Pat. I will say one thing that's different about this end versus the second end is you do at least have those 2 yellow counters that are third and fourth count. So at least the scoring area is very tight here. So it's not only end saving, but it is also like the first one was end saving, but also like the whole scoring area was wide open where Wisconsin could have just tacked on more and more points. It is still at least tough for Wisconsin to get a lot more points out of this because the scoring area is still very tight.
Yep.
So it's a little bit less pressure, but it is still a pressure shot here. And this one looks like it's hanging wide again, unfortunately, for Penn State. It's basically just going to replace their previous stone, maybe a little bit higher up. Wisconsin is still sitting 1-2.
It looks like they're going to play that hit and roll in now. You can probably see more of the yellow this time.
Yep.
You really got to make a good one here because you want to be on top of your reds. Make it really tough for Penn State to get in there in any which way.
Yep. They give him plenty of ice here, so it doesn't look like that's like a traditional hit. What kind of weight do you think they're calling here?
Maybe like back line, back 8 even.
Yep, so just a little bump, get to the inside of that yellow, kind of with a heavy draw weight. You let it curl a little bit, let the stone. I mean, you wouldn't even be upset with a straight draw, right? A straight draw is not even a bad result, so. Yep. You don't want to be light by any means.
Yeah, you don't have to move that yellow at all because you are 1 and 2.
Exactly. It would be nice to move that yellow for sure. And this one's hanging a little wide. Can the sweepers curl it enough? And so actually that ends up hitting yellow into red. I think now Penn State is actually sitting second shots. That's an unfortunate miss there from Wisconsin. Tightening up the scoring area further for Penn State, and now they're sitting second count. So why did the sweepers get off that towards the end?
I think they were trying to push it over, and maybe they knew they weren't going to get to it. So at that point, maybe it's best to kind of hang it out as much as they can, not touch the yellow at all, sit 1 and 2. But Penn State still got the same shot here either way. They're going to try to draw one right down on top of that red. Then get to the inside of that red frozen. It's going to be really hard.
Absolutely.
Really hard for Madison to score.
Absolutely. Penn State is definitely starting to take the momentum of this end. In that now it's less pressure on Eric Welp's shot here than perhaps it was in that second end, and they have a real chance to possibly even get a steal.
This is kind of similar to that second end where Madison's just piling a bunch of stuff in the 4-foot, and that's the danger of you having the hammer putting a lot of rocks in the 4-foot.
Right.
All of a sudden, if you don't have it just set up right, what a great shot from Penn State.
Absolutely.
Here.
I think. Oh boy, I can't even tell. I don't even know who shot. People in the comments, whoever you're rooting for, I guess that's whoever's sitting shot, right? But regardless, that's an excellent shot there from Eric Welp, because now I don't know if you're Wisconsin what you do here to get 2. I don't even know if you're 1 right now, but I don't know what you do to get 2. You have a setup shot here with Alex, so you got to do something to try to maybe make it easier to get your 2.
I mean, do you ever try to draw around the other side? Because we've seen that draw path is there.
It does
on the
curl.
Other side.
It curls late.
It does curl late.
Yeah.
It looks like they might be looking at that.
That looks like exactly what they're trying to do. Other thing you could do is try to maybe find a way to peel those 2 yellow staggered center guards. The first 2 stones at the end that we said were really nice for Penn State, thrown by Robert Chappell. If you peel those guards, you theoretically have a shot where you can run your red. I assume Penn State would try to throw something up, but you could run your red back into that yellow red.
Peel it up, and then at that point they have to guard it. If they guard it nicely, then this draw is still here for you. And if they don't, then you could make a play off of that red.
Yeah, right now this shot is telling me that Alex G is conceding the fact that the scoring area right now is going to be literally the white inner circle, the 4 foot there, basically the button.
Looks like they're going this way again. I'm not so sure about this. I really either like opening up the center, give yourself a chance to make a play on that yellow,
or drawing the wide way
from
the outturn side. Yeah,
you can definitely get most of that button and sit for sure a shot if you go the other way. So here's the fascinating thing about curling is sometimes you're in the hack or you're looking over the house when you're skip. You see one shot you really like. All of a sudden you walk, you get all the way down to the hack. You see something totally different. Mix up your call. This looks pretty close though.
It does look close. It's a little light. It's so I guess maybe they're throwing the guard to really. So they assume they're one and they just want to lock in their one. They can't afford to steal here in this 5th end.
That could be part of
maybe they're conceding the fact that they're only going to get one, and they'll try to grind it out without the hammer.
True. If they don't throw that rock there, Penn State could have thrown some pretty good weight at that yellow and maybe sit 1 or 2 and get both reds to move out.
How aggressive do you be here if you're Penn State? Let's assume red is shot rock. If based on the shot call from Alex G there, I assume that it seems like he thinks that red is still shot rock. How aggressive do you try to be here if you're Penn State?
I don't think you'd be too aggressive. I mean, you're up 2 right now. So Madison getting just a single is not bad at all for you.
Yeah, you'd have the lead and the two hammers to 1 advantage in theory, right?
Yeah, but I think this is the right call. I think you just try to beat him to the button on the other side.
Yeah.
That draw is still there. Madison was about to throw it. If you're light here, you take away the draw path. It's really hard for Madison to get more than one.
That's exactly right. This is controlled aggression right now, basically.
Yeah, a lot of good results come out with this shot. If you're light, you guard up the draw path.
Yep.
It's really hard for them to get to.
Yeah, heavy, you probably. I mean, they still have to throw an absolute dart, even if you're heavy. The only real heavy miss that would be bad, because they still have to throw a draw weight with how wide that yellow guard is out there. It's not like you're really it's not like backing is actually that big of a factor here. So, I agree with you, Pat. I think this is an excellent shot call from Penn State. Basically, it's not likely you're going to make a perfect shot here, but there's really nothing bad that can happen. And if you do make a perfect shot, then obviously, phenomenal. Looks a little light and a little narrow. Okay. Well, that's not a bad result, as you were saying, Pat. It takes away that draw path. There's no way you're getting through that port narrow and still drawing, and there's no way you're going any wider than that and getting to the button. So now, if you're Wisconsin, what do you do here?
It's a great question. I don't know if you really have a shot for 2 here.
Do you throw the stone away?
You might, yeah. I mean, if you know your shot and you got the house set up like this, I don't know about. You could try the red into the other red, or try to somehow bump one of those reds to being second counter. But the risk is you hitting things incorrectly. All of a sudden, you get a couple reds to move, and and then Penn State steals one on you, and you can't have that happen. Being down 2.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, we don't have mics on the college students on the ice, which is unfortunate. So we don't know exactly what that previous shot was. But if Alex G's previous shot was truly what he ended up making, which was that guard, I would think that he was trying to play the concede 1 strategy, because it doesn't look like really a setup shot that he threw before. And so if he was fine with conceding 1 then, I would think he'd be fine, or taking just 1 now. Yeah, so I think he'd be fine throwing it away now. So maybe his previous shot, he wasn't actually trying to throw that guard. Hard to tell. If we had mics, maybe we'd have a little bit of an idea of what he tried to throw in his previous stone.
Looks like he's throwing like hacker board weight here, trying to maybe get that 1 red into the other red and get a second counter out of it. This is a real tough shot.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
The yellows.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's a bad result.
I
honestly think you might have only hurt yourself with anything. So looks like they're kicking the stone, so they knew who was shot there. So we'll assume it was 1 red, but we'll confirm when they hang the score. So we've now finished the 5th end after the 4th end was blanked, and Penn State will still have the lead regardless of who scored. And just to confirm for you, actually it was 1 red, Wisconsin, so it is 3-2. Penn State has the hammer back going into the 6th, so they have a 2-1 hammer advantage and a 1-point lead. So definitely scoreboard is on the side of Penn State right now in terms of advantage. In the other championship semifinal here, University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point was held to just a single with hammer in the 5th. But they didn't give up another steal, so Bowdoin is down 2 with the hammer in the 6th. They can get their deuce here in the 6th. It's a brand new game, 2-end game basically, with with that. So they have the 2 hammer to 1 advantage, but they're down 2 points. So really it's important for them to try to get their multiple here. I believe that's, if I'm not mistaken, Marin Cooper, their skip, throwing Vice Rocks, about to throw there. In the consolation semifinal here, looks like Yale has regained control of this game, although they were up 4 at one point, so being up 2 I wouldn't say necessarily is control.
Certainly a high-scoring affair over on sheet 3.
Yeah, absolutely. So 7-5. RIT looks like they are chasing early on in this end. And on sheet 2, the game between Michigan Tech, Michigan Tech and Minnesota. It looks like Minnesota put up a big end there in the 5th. So what was a close game is now a 7-1 game. It looks like 5-ender with hammer for Minnesota in the 5th. And now back to our feature game here. Ooh, we were over 50 on the live chat. We're now back to 49. So we'll see if we can get those numbers back up later. But again, I'll reiterate for anyone in the chat, feel free to comment, cheer on your favorite teams. We'll make sure to get it broadcasted here if you want to talk to us. We're here for anything, so anything you got, feel free to drop it in the live chat here on YouTube. All right, so looks like a really tight guard. Looks like it's just outside the house for Wisconsin. It's not quite on the center line, but not something that Penn State can just blow out. So they're going to draw behind it, and that just skinnies around. It actually ends up kind of curling out to the other side, back 4. Not a bad result, but Wisconsin certainly needs to steal here, or at least the idea is that they need to steal here in this 6th end here, down 1, to kind of get it back to a level playing field. Think of it, again, tennis analogy, breaking serve here, kind of on that steal. And so they're actually going to use that guard and that back 4 rock to their advantage. If they can freeze right down on top of that yellow, that's a really good result. This looks like, ooh, it looks really close. Oh my goodness, that is so well managed. You can't ask for a better setup if you're trying to get a big steal, or not necessarily a big steal, a must steal end here. You got a tight guard, you got backing, and you're stone in the 4-foot. Yes, it's behind the tee, but you're closing up the scoring area. You're forcing Penn State to have to play with that. So, Cameron Pauly calling for, it looks like a draw on top from Robert Chappell. You like this call here?
Yeah, I like this call. You are up. You still are up 1. You do have the hammer. You don't like to go in the middle when you have the hammer, but if you're up 1, guaranteed, make sure you get 1. This is a good shot. I think you're making it. Looks a little heavy though.
Heavy's okay. I mean, even missing, I would rather that than you throw a guard, right? Yep. If you throw a center guard there, you're hurting yourself if you're Penn State. So that was the acceptable miss. I know we don't like to say miss, and we don't like to, play for misses, but it's the reality of curling, and that was definitely the side to err on, was missing light as opposed to leaving a guard and junking it up more for a steal. Because if you think of this end, if you go into the mind of Penn State, the unacceptable result here of this end, I would say, and maybe you disagree with me, Pat, is I can't give up a steal here. If I only take 1, I don't love it, but whatever. At least I'm up 4-2 in the 7th end with both teams in theory having 1 hammer left. So basically I can't get broken serve here. I need to score at least my 1 point. 2 is fantastic, but I just can't give up a steal here. And so, you give up the steal, it's basically even playing field again. It's a tie game with 2 ends to play. In theory, each team would have 1 hammer end left. So get your point here if you're Penn State. Take multiple. Multiple's great, but get your 1 point at the very least.
Penn State's going to throw this hit.
Yep, now we're past the free guard zone rule, so all hits are fine, even on that guard. Oh boy. Is it going to... Okay, it will hit. It will hit. That's fine. That's a fine result there from Penn State. Just get a guard out of play, get some rocks out of play. Wisconsin's going to put it right back. They're in a situation again where they really, again, it's not a must steal, but it is a really, really, really could use a steal here situation for Wisconsin. So Alex G is going to have them just put the guard right back. So we'll see if second Derek Brooks can throw a good guard here. Question in the chat, where can I find the standings? That's an excellent question. I believe, let me find on the USA Curling website. Let's do this. I think I know how to work a phone. I'm on that millennial Gen Z cusp, so I should know how to work a phone here. All right, I just sent a link there in the chat. All right, that's the official USA Curling website, which gives the standings. I think it gives live scores as well, and what sheets teams are on, what color stones they have, everything. USA Curling is, running this event. We're co-chairing here at Schenectady Curling Club, but they are the ones who dictate which sheet teams go on. The only thing we decide here is really what sheets get the feature coverage here. So we've chosen sheet 1, even though it is the furthest sheet away from the commentating booth here, because we have not given any love yet to our Wisconsin friends. We did for the first time last night to at least Stevens Point. We got them some love, and now we get to cover Wisconsin for the first time on a feature sheet. So it looks like we're on Vice Rocks now, so Oscar Schroeder for Wisconsin going to try to throw up that guard. Really just continue to keep it so that scoring area is really tight and it's a good position to steal. Because right now, Penn State just really, as I said before, wants to get their 1 point any which way. And based on where that other red stone is in the house, that one that's in the 8 foot, it does kind of make that draw path a little tricky.
The guard's really high, but Penn State still wants to peel it.
Still wants to peel.
Which is okay.
Yeah, I might consider going for the back one here with like a down weight type of hit.
Yep.
But
yeah, you can definitely get around that guard. It's so high, it's almost not in play.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. It does take it takes away big weight hits. Like that's usually what high guards do is they cut off angle really well, but they definitely are something you can get behind with down weight hits. So you think of high guards as more of like making angles a nightmare, but not necessarily taking away hits on any stones. You're not burying behind high guards. So good result there from Cameron Pauly. I think I might have considered going for the stone behind first.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, and even on the last shot, they still, you could see all of that red rock, but they, Penn State's up 1. They want to keep the house clean. They want to, guarantee they have a pretty easy shot at the
exactly.
end
That's
to get 1.
That's what it does do. To their credit, that definitely does do that, for sure. Because if you ignore the guard and you go for the back one, even if you make the back one, and like let's say you spill out, Wisconsin's just probably going to throw another guard up, so they have staggered guards, and then they can try to get a better stone in there. That's something I've learned over the years. It is a lot of times the better call is to just peel the guard, because if you go for the shot rock instead of the guard, then even if you get the shot rock, they're just going to throw up a better draw on their next one. So.
Yeah. This is a good guard for Madison.
Yeah, it's a
little
good
tighter
guard.
now. Penn State's going to have to peel this one.
Yep.
And at what point do you think Madison might just try to pop another one right in the 4 foot, make it hard to get rid of both of those reds?
I would probably say Skip's last stone. I think Alex's last stone is the only time I would consider putting another one in there. You need this steal, even if it's just a steal 1. You're happy with that.
Yeah.
You can't afford to give an easy shot to Eric Welp to get their 1. I think on their last one, maybe if you freeze, you can try to be aggressive and freeze down to it. But even then, I wouldn't even mind a guard on Skip's last shot if I was Alex G.
Yep. Well, that rock he just threw wasn't a true peel. His yellow was kind of hanging around.
Yeah, leaves a center guard there.
Yep.
Now, if you're Wisconsin, maybe now you can start talking about being a little bit more aggressive, because now you have one of their guards in play, and you're sitting 1.
I think I'm on Madison here. I'm going to try to draw, top button right behind that yellow rock. Sit 2, make it really hard for Penn State to score here.
Absolutely. So they're talking about it. I'm going to quickly just go over to sheet 4. Looks like we have a measure here on sheet 4 for 2. Is it for 2 for which team? For 2 for yellow, so 2 for Bowdoin. So Bowdoin really wants this measure to go their way, as this would tie the game up. From where I'm sitting, it does look like red, but I also have an angle that would make it look like red, so we'll have to see here. Yeah, the other family behind might disagree. Yeah, we get some Bowdoin fans here that might disagree. Yeah, I mean, you can will it, maybe like Matilda style, try to will it into moving, you know, maybe an inch or two closer.
I don't really like to make bets on these measures, and I've lost a lot of money on these measurements, so I will abstain from the measure.
Absolutely. They throwing rocks here. They're still talking it over. Wisconsin's still talking it over. It looks like they called a timeout actually on sheet 1, so you're not missing any action here on the feature cast. It's yellow. Well, I'm glad that the folks behind me are happy. Yellow by a mile. All right, so we got a tie game, 2-end game between University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point and Bowdoin in this other championship semifinal. So we're gonna have to tune into that one as we go down the stretch. Both championship semifinals are excellent games right now. This is great to see. A shot on the way from Alex G. They did call timeout, and this is the shot they decided on. Whatever the result is, we're gonna say it's the shot they decided on. Assume he's gonna make it exactly as called. Outside sweeper's trying to curl it. All right, now they got both sweepers on it. It's like both Derek Brooks and Clayton Ells. Yeah, that's exactly it. Pat, are they going to get it enough? No, it doesn't look like it got there enough.
Just a little light, but that's
still
that's an okay
still a good
result.
spot. Yeah, I don't have any issues with that if I'm Wisconsin.
You know, the thing that's really good with is Wisconsin's controlling the front of the tee line. They're controlling the front of the 4-foot. So, yeah, Penn State's got to make some
it looks
really
like
good shots to score.
Yep. So this is now Eric Welp throwing skip rocks here. It looks like they are going to go for that run back. It's tight. I mean, you never mind peeling your own guard here, but obviously Wisconsin's going to just put the guard back up or maybe tap up their own stone. I like the idea of hitting something for Penn State. Remember, you got to try to get your one here, so do everything you can to make your shot at the end easy as possible.
One thing you don't want to nose this red, because if you do, Penn State.
Yeah, that's the miss where you really get worried. Yeah.
You really got to hit this correct.
Yeah, you want to try to get a lot of stones moving and have it at some sort of angle.
An easy shot for skipper over here.
They're sweeping. It's going to get around the guard. It is going to hit the red. What's the angle like? Oh, boy. It's not nose, but now Madison's sitting 3, where previously they were sitting 1. So I get the logic of trying to, blast it, but the way that hit was actually probably suboptimal. They do have a yellow stone that's definitely tappable. My guess is if you're Wisconsin, you guard that tap. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I think so. I think you guard the tap.
That looks like what they're signaling right now.
Yeah.
Don't let Penn State do anything with that yellow rock. This is a must-steal end, and it went from must-steal to, oh my gosh, I might be able to steal 3.
Yeah.
So this is a potential big flip of the game here if Alex G can put a good guard down here. So he doesn't want to put anything in the house here. He just wants to make sure he takes away an easy shot for Penn State to tap up that yellow. Not that that's even an easy shot, but at least it's something. Boy, that's a big swing right there. So they're trying to curl this. They're not sweeping this for weight. They're sweeping to try to extend the line of the curl here. And they do. That's a great result. Absolutely. So if you're Wisconsin, if you're a fan of Wisconsin here, you got to be happy with how this end is shaped out for you. Sitting 1, 2, and 3. 1 is particularly in a great spot. Honestly, 2 and 3 are both in really good spots too. If you're, I remember the result here if you're Penn State is you just got to take your 1. I don't think there is a shot for 1 or an easy shot for 1.
There's no easy shot for 1, but I think they're looking to come around that guard, their yellow center guard that's sitting there, and try to squeeze right in between,
right in between
that red, and try to get to
back.
that red.
What do you think? Like
rack.
Maybe back 8 weight, something
yeah,
like that.
Something
Well,
like
this looks like draw weight simply.
It's tough though because this line is curling so much.
And
so.
if you hang out wide at all and you just go right on top of that red, you're not going to probably have enough action on it. out count it. You're still giving up your steal of 3.
Yep.
Would you ever consider just hitting that
just
red?
Hitting the red and only giving up 2? Yeah, that's that's definitely an option.
And
too.
if you
And
hit it
right,
at an
you might be
angle
able to-
and you get 2 out of play, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe only give up 1.
Yeah, it's conceding that you're going to give up the steal, but at this point, I don't think a shot for 1 is really there. I don't. I think. I mean, at least with this draw path, we'll see. Shot on the way from Eric Welp. Sweepers are on it early. Istvan Preda sweeping the inside of the rock. Cameron Pauly on the outside. Both sweepers on it.
Looks like they're going to be...
Oh, they're going to crash the guard. Oh, boy.
Weight was pretty close.
And that is a steal of 3 for Wisconsin. So that has completely flipped this game on its head, where it went from Penn State in control to now University of Wisconsin-Madison is in control of this game, up to Penn State does still have the hammer going into the 7th end. Back to sheet 4, where University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point has the hammer. They are the red team, and they are sitting pretty nicely right now. So Bowdoin has done a lot of good work to get back in this game, but they're definitely in a little bit of a tricky spot here. They really need a big shot here. Really need a hit and roll under cover would be great. If they got to get around that center guard. They're sweeping hard to get around that center guard. If they can get around it, this is a perfect shot. Oh, what a shot. What a shot. I mean, I guess they didn't get much of a roll, but maybe it probably wasn't even there, because they couldn't have skinnied that guard much better than what they just did. And now it's at least buried enough where it's at least tricky for Wisconsin-Stevens Point to get it out, let alone keep the shooter around. So that is, again, not to exaggerate, potentially a game-saving shot right there. We'll keep an eye on that sheet as it progresses, but great shot there from Bowdoin. All right, so setting up this end here, Wisconsin, they're sweeping hard to get this in the house, and that tells you something, Pat. What does that tell you?
Tells that they know they're up 2. There's only 2 ends to go. They want to put as many rocks in the house as they can. Make it really tough for Penn State to try to get multiple score this end with hammer.
Absolutely, yeah, because if Penn State scores 1 here, you have the hammer up 1 final end. That's a great spot to be in. We actually asked people a poll. We give poll questions ahead of time of what final end, what position would you rather be in? And if you look at the Madison answers, actually, Alex G said he'd rather be down 1 with hammer, up 1 without hammer, tied with hammer, any, meaning he's comfortable with any spot. But all the other individuals from Wisconsin said they'd be tied with hammer is the situation they'd like to be in. So they like having hammer in that final end. And so imagine if you're up 1 with hammer, that's only better than tied with hammer. So it seems like the whole team's aligned on this one from Madison, University of Wisconsin-Madison. If they can have the hammer in the final end, even tied, they will be happy. So let alone being up 1. So that's exactly right, Pat. They're playing in the house. They want to deke Penn State into a hit game, and Penn State was willing to hit the first one out. They did, but they rolled out too, and I'm sure Alex G has no problems with that.
Looks like this second rock from Madison is going to go in the house again.
That's right. I mean, if
great couple shots.
It gets to a point where if it's such a good shot like that, you kind of have to hit it if you're Penn State, because if you try to get too aggressive, well, you give up another steal and it might just be game over anyways, being down 3 or 4 in the final end. So at some point, if you're Penn State, you kind of just have to hit it and say, like, look, if they're going to give us 1, fine, we'll take our 1, and we're going to just have to go all out to get a steal in the 8th end. You can't get too cute with being aggressive here. And the team's talking about it right now.
See if they try to throw up a corner guard and take some time to generate some offense this end, or if they're just going to hit again.
Yep. Over on sheet 4, it looks like they're getting to Vice Stones. Their skip, Marin Cooper's throwing over there, and Bowdoin is sitting 1 now. Not necessarily in a great steal position, but they are sitting 1 with a shot to sit to, or guard up their shot rock. So Bowdoin has definitely flipped that end around to potentially get the steal that they need. I say need, but there's different lines of thought there. With a tie game, if you steal in the 7th end, you're also not going to have the hammer in the 8th. So sometimes stealing 1 in the 7th end can actually hurt you because you don't have hammer in the 8th end. But Bowdoin seems to have played well without hammer this game, so perhaps they want to go steal. Seems like they finished discussing on here on sheet 1. Looks like Penn State, or excuse me, Wisconsin's gonna. Is that a guard call now?
Yeah, guard. I think they're okay with going down to the red as well.
Yep. Setting up either setting up the Penn State to have to go for a double, or guarding up their shot rock. They'll take the steal if the steal's given to them, I'm sure.
Yeah, anything on that center line is looking really good, and looks like that's a
really good shot.
Yep.
Yeah, really good shot. Probably looks like it's biting too. Hard to tell exactly.
Yeah, hard to tell. Could be biting the house, but yeah, it leaves that red, that shot totally buried.
Penn State going for the draw round here, so it's definitely past the free guard zone rule. They're the hammer team, and this is the seconds first rock.
The fact that you can hit guards now, do you like ever just hitting that red?
That's what I was just trying to talk about. I think Penn State thinks that they need to score their 2 here or more, and I think that they think if they're going to go the hit, they might not be able to actually get their 2. So I think they're trying to corner freeze here, see if they can find a way later to bump it and get their 2 that way. But this is a miss you really can't afford if you're Penn State. You don't want to miss light here. Acting as another center guard, I'd be shocked if Alex G didn't throw another guard or something like that. It looks like he's actually going to try to tap up his red. That's not a bad result either, especially if he can get that red to kind of block that angle for a yellow run back. That's a good shot, good result.
That, or he's trying to draw around too. Both I think are good.
Yeah. Even a guard's not a bad result either.
Yep.
A lot of good results here. So that's sometimes when you don't have hammer, sometimes you get higher percentage shots, especially when you're calling these center line shots. It can be a guard, it's a good shot. It can be a tap, it's a good shot. It can be a draw, it's a good shot. Sometimes if there's backing, you can be a little heavy and bump, and it's a good shot. That's actually the shot that I was actually thinking of them calling it anyways to begin with. So that's a fine result. So basically that was one of those situations where it's, as long as you don't hog that rock or throw through, probably going to be a good result. The only thing I think that could be a really bad result is if that it hung wide, maybe to tee and set up an easy double for Penn State.
It's like Penn State trying to draw around again. I'm Penn State here. I kind of like trying to open up that center. Make sure you can at least score 1. You've played well without the hammer, so even if you're down 1 and the other team has the hammer, you probably have a decent shot at a steal because you've been doing that all game long.
Yeah, that's right. Draw on the way here, kind of with the in-turn side. Well, actually, no, out-turn. I think Ishvan threw this, right? Yeah, so Ishvan's lefty, so this is his out-turn, his clockwise throw. All right, so that's in the house. There is an angle run there. And Alex G knows that that's a danger rock, so it looks like he does. Interesting. So the way he wants to deal with this, he wants to hit it. Do you like this call, Pat?
This is a fine call. You're up. You're up 2. You just give. Up 2 with 2 ends to go. You're looking at starting to run yellow out of rocks here.
Do you worry about missing this wide at all?
That's the danger for it. You miss it wide. You could throw a guard up here, which I would be totally fine with a guard as well. You are shot rock, so junking up the front, especially when the other team has hammer, is never a bad thing.
So this is not going to miss wide. It's actually going to miss narrow. It's going to get a little spin action on those stones that was there, so it does actually help Wisconsin out by giving them a second stone. But while I say it helps Wisconsin, I would actually argue that helped Penn State a lot more.
This is pretty good for Penn State. Leaves that red exposed.
That's what they needed.
Can you ever see enough of the other red to double them out? I'm not sure that double's there.
Yeah, but I'm not sure the thin. I mean, if you're okay if it overcurls a little bit and it skinnies that red and just kind of pokes it.
Yeah.
Really, the key is just get that the one on the button there. You can't miss wide. You can't hit your own yellow here, and you also can't hit the guard. So just don't miss the shot.
Yeah. You might be able to hit. You might be able to hit the red that's biting the forefoot. You might hit it thin enough. Just sneak around the guard. Hit that thin enough. You might be able to get both the reds to move a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think
which would be a very great shot. But I
you
think
might lose the shooter, but that's okay.
Yeah, object 1 is for sure. Get rid of that red that's in shot right now and hang around for shot.
Yep. I completely agree. This is definitely the opening Penn State needed to get back in this end here. It's astonishing how it changed. Originally this end was shaping up to be Wisconsin is perfectly fine to play a force. Penn State changed it and ended up throwing a guard, which was suboptimal. But Wisconsin then played to that style of play, got a miss on a hit here, and it has opened the door for Penn State, although this stone is over curling considerably. They're actually going to run the yellow back into the red. Oh boy, that actually guards it right back up. Yeah, so Penn State returns the favor, unfortunately, to Wisconsin and guards it back up.
Well, now you kind of have a similar shot for Madison. You know, you can make a play on that yellow, try to hit it, but let's see if they go after that again.
I
they
wonder
missed
if
it pretty poorly last time.
And
so
now there's actually more risk if you miss wide on that yellow.
Yep.
You don't want to overcorrect and miss wide because now there's a nice pocket there of red rocks there for the yellow to jam on.
Yeah, it looks like he's opting to throw the guard.
Throw
I
the
think
guard,
that's the better
yep.
shot. You know, you're coming up from your Vice's last rock. No shame in guarding. You know, your 1 and your 2.
Not at all. You're sitting 1-2 with cover. You're up 2. Make Penn State make some sort of hero shot. Don't make shots for them. Over here on sheet 4, I say over here, that's just where I'm sitting, but we're not actually going to change the screen. Bowdoin did just the double 2 stones out, but they did bump their shot rock over to the side. So they still have a shot rock. The shooter ends up staying shot rock, but they are sitting 1-3 with Skip's last stone coming up. So a good shot here from University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point could give them 2.
Yeah, that's a really good shot because now tapping up the yellow is much harder with where that red is sitting.
Yeah.
You know, and you junked up the middle even more. You're sitting 3. If you're Penn State, your Vice's last rock, you almost got to take a shot at the middle, just try to open things up as much as you can.
Throw. Yep, that's what it looks like what they're doing. So
yeah, if you hit that red really close to nose, I think you definitely double out with 2 reds. This is close.
Absolutely. Really quickly, because I think this is going to finish. Stone's on the way here. Skip stone for University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. Tie game. This is the hammer rock. They're sitting second count. So if they can find a way to skinny past that red, they're yelling for hard sweep. Can they get it around? Can they get it around? Oh, wow, what a shot. What a shot. You got to tip your cap to that. Excellent sweep, excellent shot. So University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point gets their make. Penn State's still actually going to discuss this over.
What do you like here, Brad?
Boy. Well, I'll start by saying there's nothing I really like.
Yeah.
There's nothing I like if I'm Penn State. I think you can't afford to give up a steal here. You got to take your 1 and play for the steal. So whatever you can do to move Granite around and give yourself a chance to get your 1 is the ideal shot. So what is that shot? If you try to run that red right back, your yellow, even with big weight, if you hit it close to nose, which is I assume what you're going for in that red, your yellow's just going to stay there as a guard. And you probably still have 2 based on the way those stones are lined up. Looks like there's still 2 red rocks in there. It's a good time to take a discussion with Penn State because like the angles, it's just very, very difficult to see what you do here. I mean, you could try a run on this yellow, the yellow guard. If you were to run that yellow guard straight back, you could double out 2 red stones, the two, 1 and 2. You could, in theory, do that, but that's a really difficult shot. Yeah, I don't know if you see what I'm looking at here, Pat, but like basically run that straight back and try to get the double.
Yeah, you might. That shot might be there too.
Yeah, and
there's a lot of good ways to hit this front red. You know, that's the bonus for Penn State here.
Yeah. But you want your shooter to roll away, ideally too. You want to hit it and also get the shoot. And any way you hit this, it's going to be so tough to get in there. Usually you like your own color rock being the one that's forced in there and moving things around. So red into red isn't necessarily helping your position.
Rocks away. Let's see.
It's just going to peel it, straight peel right through that port. Yep. So it opens it up a little more, but for what really? Like, I mean, even if Alex G threw this stone away, if you're Penn State, what do you do to get your 1?
Yeah, I think even if he throws it away, it's really
even if not that he's going to, obviously, but even
move a lot of reds here.
Yeah.
He talked about hitting the yellow and flopping over on top of his red, but I think the right call here is just to plug up that center again.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, there's really, I mean,
You can
just don't do a shot that hurts yourself. If you're like, the only thing I could see here that could hurt himself, Alex G, is setting something up for like a hit, an in-off hit and roll for Penn State to get their one.
You know, the plus side, if you are Penn State here, you probably do have a play on bumping that yellow up to still maybe get shot. At least kind of
probably second
one,
count.
but
Yeah,
it's tough.
it's tough. But even cutting them down to 1, Wisconsin's gonna be up 3.
That's probably why Alex maybe thought hitting that yellow and flopping over is really good.
Yeah.
But if you ever corner freeze on the yellow, it's real good. That takes
It's
that
close
shot
to what
away
he's doing right
completely.
now. He didn't quite corner freeze on it.
Do you try to play the bump now?
Well, they're talking right now about what they want to do, because if you think about it strategically, and let's take a second here to just think about it. You're down 2. If you give up a steal, you keep the hammer final end. I would say at minimum, you can give up a steal of 1, or at maximum, you can give up a steal of 1 here. That's the maximum you can get. It looks like they're trying to throw a missile at the top reds. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's going to actually do anything for you. I think here it comes.
See ya.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it definitely moved some granite, but yeah, there was just jams all day, and that's a steal of 3 for Wisconsin.
Well, they still have.
Oh, sorry. I thought, for some reason, I thought that was the hammer stone. Okay, well now that changes things. That's my mistake as commentator. Apologize there. I thought that was the hammer rock. I guess I don't know how to count, but now there's still a chance there. You did have to open it up. So now I'm okay with the hit that they threw, just to try to get as much granite out of play as possible. I mean, it's still Alex G's got a shot here that's fairly easy. It's the center line guard. You can even go full 12 if you want to be greedy and sit 4. And if you're Penn State, even if you throw a missile at the pile, they're still going to steal multiple points, which I think is going to make it unbelievably difficult to win. Over on sheet 4, Bowdoin needs to take 2 with hammer, and Wisconsin Stevens Point is sitting 2 in the house right now. So going to be tough for Bowdoin to find their way to claw back into it. We'll go to that perhaps at the end of this end here. Got the hammerstone coming up. Alex G's stone does overcurl a little bit, and it looks like they're going to try to do a...
You're really trying to go through the middle there and maybe get in some of those reds and
Yeah.
sort of like hack weight at it. You might
Yeah,
be able
if you
to
can
push
skinny
them
that
back
red,
just enough.
I don't hate it. I definitely don't. I just don't know if the weight would actually move the rocks enough the way you want it to. I think that it would probably hit. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to tell.
Try the draw. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, they need a perfect draw here from Eric Welp. Sweepers are on it. Off.
Looks real close.
It does look close.
Maybe a touch big.
Yeah, I mean, it's a steal of 3, it looks like, for Wisconsin. And that is a 5-point lead. And it looks like that's handshakes on sheet 1. Congratulations to the Wisconsin Badgers. They avenged their loss from pool play. The 2-time defending national champions are back at it in the championship game, looking to face the winner of this sheet 4 game, which we will dart over to right now. Congratulations to the University of Wisconsin Badgers. Yet another appearance in a national final game. Packer Jim saying Wisco teams dominating based on Packer name. I assume that that's coming from Wisconsin. And indeed, it is possible. We have an all-Wisconsin college national championship game coming at noon Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central Time. Jacob Feldman saying curled against Alex in 2022, but was cheering on Penn State in this game since it was his dad's alma mater. But now with Wisconsin winning that game, they are back in the finals. Really a great game on sheet 1. Wisconsin with 2 big steals of 3 back-to-back ends to flip that game around. Really great effort, though, from Penn State, and they're going to have a great shot in that bronze medal game that they'll be playing at 11 Central. And yes, they did, in fact, lock TF in. I completely agree. right, so now let's take a look at this sheet here. Bowdoin needs to score 2 here. Right now, it looks like it's 1 and 2 for Stevens Point. We're on, I think this is Skip Marin Cooper's last stone, if I'm not mistaken. Is it her last stone? First stone? First stone? First stone. First vice rock. Okay, so there's more rocks left. Again, I'm really struggling with my counting today. I'm sorry for all in the audience here. We got 59 here, almost up to 60 here. Still watching for this other semifinal. Appreciate you sticking around, even though the feature game is ended. Trying to double here on those stones. It looks like it's an overcurl, only get 1, but it is going to roll more over the top. Not necessarily a bad result, and you're hearing claps here for the 2 teams coming in from sheet 1 that you guys just saw in the feature game. Well-deserved round of applause. Stevens Point here trying to draw another one in. Guard. I was informed that the call seems to be a guard. Yep, so leave it up high. Thank you. So we got a guard here from Charlie Oster. Trying to leave this nice and high. Take away the pick out.
The pick a little big here.
Yeah. It is going to sit right on top of that, so it will set up a double. However, I'm wondering the angle on that double, and this.
Red ever jams in the yellow on the side.
I wonder if it does. That's exactly what I was going to ask. Does it jam on that yellow on the side? If it doesn't, this is I think a no-brainer shot. But if it does, I think you got to think about this one a little bit. It's a partial brainer, as I've been told. The timer on my right, good friend Joe Parado here. Have they used their timeout yet, Joe? Okay, Bowdoin has already used their timeout. See, this sheet I can actually see in person. I'm basically sitting on this sheet, so unlike sheet 1 where I was seeing what you guys were seeing in the crowd, I can actually see a couple things. All right, so this one's not curling a lot. They're going to try to sweep this over as hard as they can. Oh, it's getting over. Oh, it's okay. Does it jam? It does jam.
It does jam.
So that was the one thing we were discussing, contemplating, is that going to jam? That being said, though, that it's deep enough and wide enough that I believe you can still get to that red anyways if you're Bowdoin. So I'm not exactly upset with that result there. I think you can still chase that red if you need to on your final skip stone that you have.
Looks like Stevens Point's gonna just ignore those 2 yellows that Bowdoin has in the house and try to draw to the other side. If they draw underneath that red on the other side, it's gonna be real hard for Bowdoin to get 2 out of this.
Absolutely. Sheet 2 has ended. There are handshakes over there. Looks like they're wrapping up there. So congratulations to Minnesota. The Golden Gophers defeat Michigan Tech. And so they will be playing in the Consolation Championship game. Really great turnaround from them. They went 0-3 in pool play. Really unfortunate 0-3. They had a few really close games that they just unfortunately didn't finish on. We got to get them on a feature sheet. Back to sheet 4 here. We will also, this is the game for the purpose of the championship, so we're going to be showing this for all intents and purposes, but I do want to give an update. The Consolation Sheet 3 is also getting close to finishing. RIT with another big end of 3 with hammer, so they've given up a bunch of steals, but they've also gotten some big ends with hammer. They are down 1, needing a steal. They are sitting 2 right now in the house. Maybe after this shot I'll show the house for the audience, but right now here comes a double attempt on the way from Stevens Point. And it looks great.
Great shot
That's
there.
an excellent shot there. Now Bowdoin does still have that biter on the side of the house, so that's not all for naught. The shooter did roll away. So there is the hit, and that looks like what Marin Cooper is calling for. And you're hearing more rounds of applause for the teams that are walking off from Sheet 2, Minnesota and Michigan Tech. Interesting broom placement here. Maybe is it curling a lot? Possibly is that why the broom placement's up here? It looks like they're just trying to bump back that red. At least I thought that was the call. This is first skip rock, I believe for Miles Benson, if I remember correctly from when I called the Bowdoin game earlier. And oh wow, this is curling a lot. Sweepers are on it. It's also light. Is there a plan B here? They chip. Okay, they do chip and they do roll. Are they going to get shot out of it? They're not going to get shot. They're not going to get shot. So they are sitting 2 and 3. The problem is that tick of the guard actually buried the red stone a little bit more. So it actually made the shot a little bit harder for Bowdoin. So if Stevens Point can hit and stick around as second shot here, it's going to be virtually impossible for Bowdoin to make a shot to get their 2 and win this game. They would need some sort of insane double. So it's really important here for University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point to hit and ideally stick around in the rings. Anything that's out counting that biter on the side there. They're switching sweepers around. Usually when you switch sweeper direction, it means you anticipate that you're going to need a line to be held, perhaps by a sweeper that you think is maybe a little bit stronger. It's not necessarily a pride thing, just, you know, some people are just better sweepers. Stone on the way, and this is big weight. Big weight. It's gonna hit. Is it gonna roll to the other one? Did he get the double? He got the double! What a phenomenal double. And that is game over from University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, unless they can get a split from Bowdoin. Bowdoin's thinking about it right now. If they can get a massive split, but not only do they need the split, they need to split and out count the 8-foot rock there. What an unbelievable shot. Boy, oh boy. I was saying they needed to stick around because I wasn't banking on that double, but boy, that's just an insanely good shot from University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point there. They're gonna, and that's handshakes there. That's a great effort though from Bowdoin. Just unbelievable games we saw at both sheets here. So congratulations to Bowdoin. We'll jump over to sheet 3, the final game to conclude here. But now the championship game has been set as the Battle of Wisconsin. Madison, Wisconsin-Stevens Point will be facing each other in the championship. And the bronze medal will be between Bowdoin and Penn State. Here on this shot here, RIT sitting 2, needing a steal of 1 to tie, 2 to win. Yale here needs to find a way to get their 1 and win this game, or at least cut them down to 1 and go to an extra end. Looks like they're kicking a rock. Maybe Skip accidentally tripped over something. Just moving it over a little bit. Yeah, that was a great shot. Amy Nell's commenting still in the chat. So what do you do here, Pat, on sheet 3?
Let's see, your yellow, red sitting 2. You do have hammer though. I think the right call is to throw big weight at that middle red. Try to double out 2 of the reds. Make them throw a guard back or try to shot rock and play.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And you're hearing handshakes, or excuse me, round of applause for the people on sheet 4, teams from Bowdoin in Maine and University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. It's going to be a great game to call. I'm excited to be on the call for that. That'll be at noon Eastern Time, 11 o'clock Central Time, so just over an hour and 20 minutes from now. That game is scheduled to start. They'll start prepping the ice as soon as this game that you see right now on your screen concludes. Looks like takeout on the way. So they do get a double, perhaps not the double they were looking for. It does double out 2 guards, leaves a stone of their own up top, and it is fully exposed, the shot rock for Yale. I say the shot rock, but it looks like both rocks are like almost equally in. Maybe the shot rock is the one on the top 4 as opposed to the side 4. But regardless, if you hit one of those stones and stick, you're not going to outcount the other stone. At least the top one, that is. So RIT is perfectly content to throw a guard here. Where do you want this guard to end, line-wise? You know, depth-wise, obviously higher is fine, but depth or line-wise, where do you want this to end, Pat?
That's a good question. I mean, you want to, you can see all of the one up front, but like to your point, if you hit that, you're not going to be shot. That back one's going to outcount. So I think you almost want to guard the one that's
guard the yellow. Oh yeah, you could guard the one, and you guard the yellow and behind the tee.
Yeah, guard the tab.
Yeah, I think it's better to have this guard the right side of your screen if you're looking down in the audience on the live chat here. And we still have 45 people on. People love watching their curling. I love it. Love it. Thank you guys for sticking around and watching. Or maybe everyone fell asleep. We put them to sleep with our commentary. Oh man, that looks like a really good guard. I mean, that changes the angle on that yellow stone.
Yeah, you can't run the yellow up. Maybe try to throw half weight at that red and get around. You might have a
red to yellow.
They're eyeing up the red to yellow. It might be there.
It might be there. You don't want to throw huge weight if that's the case, because you definitely don't want to spill a lot of stuff, or at least you got to make sure you get that red out.
You're also talking about just hitting that red. If you hit the red, you only give up 1. You go into the extra end, you have hammer.
Yeah, the hammer. Yeah.
It's not a bad result.
Do you go for the win now, knowing that that's the riskier shot, or do you go for the safer shot, knowing that that's probably never going to give you the win here, and you're going to have to play a full another end? I mean, I'm sure people here would be fine watching a full another end. Might delay our championship draw, but I'm here at least. I'm okay with that. People in Wisconsin might get to wake up a little bit more if we, give them a little more time. I hope by 11 a.m. their time they'd be awake anyways. But if we push it to 11:30, it's not the end of the world.
I think if I'm yellow here, I think I like chasing after that red. Just try to don't have to worry about an extra end. Make the shot.
People in the chat, you have any thoughts on what shot you would call here if you're Yale with your hammer stone? You got maybe about 15-20 seconds to get your answers in. You like doing the run, try to go for the win, or do you just like hitting this red rock? I don't think he hits the double. I'm hearing people in the crowd here talk.
Slash double.
Yeah. I think it's more of a risk to take out your own yellow.
Rocks away.
It's wide. It's wide. They're trying to get it to curl. Can they get it to curl? Oh, and it hits the stone. And that's an unfortunate miss for Yale. But RIT, congratulations to them. They will take on Minnesota, Rochester Institute of Technology, with 2 big ends with hammer and a steal of 2 at the end to win a shootout 10-9. We've seen a few 10-9 games on sheet 3 now. Comment in the crowd said play for the extra. That seems like what Yale decided to do. Unfortunately, they just missed it a little wide, sailed a bit on them. Really good attempt, but great win there for RIT. So they will take on Minnesota, as I mentioned, in the Consolation Championship. Yale will take on Michigan Tech in the Consolation third place game. And with that, we are done with our coverage of this draw. We have one more draw left in the 2026 USA College Curling Nationals here in Schenectady, New York. We'll be back on the call. We might be joined by some guest commentators. A lot of people want to get in on this championship draw. It's going to be a great game between the 2 Wisconsin teams. That will definitely be the feature sheet. We'll be commentating, but we will give coverage of all the sheets as we see fit and as appropriate. So tune in for that at hopefully 12 o'clock if we're on time and the ice crew does their job. Signing off now, I'm Brad Johnson.
I'm Pat Howard.
Thank you for joining us today, guys.
We'll see y'all at noontime. Should be a good finals, and